contradictory. We have these fights all the time, amongst ourselves as feminists. So, for example, there's women who say things like, oh, I'm a Muslim feminist, or I'm a Christian feminist. And I very frequently say, you cannot be both Christian and feminist. You cannot be both Muslim and feminist. And the reason is because if you subscribe to another ideology that contradicts the fundamental principle of feminism, then you actually can't pursue both ideologies at once, right? Without canceling each other out. So, I personally don't think that anybody, who believes in trans ideology can be a feminist, because the whole principal basis of feminism is that women and girls face sex-based oppression, right? We face oppression from males specifically because we're female. If you then subscribe to an ideology that allows males who are members of the oppressor class to redefine themselves as members of the oppressed class just because they identify, right, as women, then you completely eliminate women's ability to identify our oppressor and fight against the oppression. You cannot protect rights for women and girls if you're not able to identify and draw a ring of exclusion around who is a woman and who is a girl. And this is the reason why you can't be both feminist and pro-transgenderism. Like they're mutually exclusive. They cancel each other out. In fact, I published a whole website, right, with a whole essay about this. It's called feminism.ng. You can open it. It's feminism.ng that lays out. Oh, you've seen it? Oh, great. It gets quoted a lot in like German feminist circles for some reason. Like it's kind of funny because like I don't speak German, but apparently I have a bunch of like German fans. But it basically lays out like all of the arguments for why you cannot be both feminist and pro-transgender, like at a fundamental ideological level. It's just not, like, it's contradictory. It's like being a Christian and you say that, oh, sometimes I worship Satan. You can't. The second you start worshiping Satan, your Christianity badge has been snapped because it fundamentally contradicts the belief system.
Yeah, I hear you, Sugar Belly, but put me in the queue. I'll respond to that.
I need to read on Nike. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I'll post the link in the chat.
Put me in the queue. I'm going to respond.
Appreciate. Nathan, put that link in the top of the room so everybody can read that essay. That shit's pretty good.
Everybody talks when it's my goal.
Read that shit in comments.
And I can't wait. Because when you niggas go, I'm going to decide to have some bright ideas too. No, nigga. You said where was the go-ahead? This is a couple seconds ago, right? Anyway, we can see, and this is why, in certain, earlier conversations, I think within the week, we were talking about non-human persons, right? Where we can look into nature and find a certain design in societies that are built other than us that actually describe what men are and female are in a natural setting. Orcas, for example, crows, nigga is you a crow. You know what I'm saying? That's what we said in the other room. Nigga said no. The crows are smart, nigga. You need to look at that. Anyway, here's an example of transgender ideology in nature as well. The sheep's head. Sheep's head fish go from fucking, they born male, but then eventually they decide to be a bitch for some odd reason. You know what I'm saying? Like, and they lay eggs and shit like that. And got all the bitch qualities. Now, we don't see the bitch qualities from our male to female, constituents. But in nature, they do it better. And it's fucked up. Wish all would have use that. God, I'm done.
Next.
Am I next?
Sorry, but sequential
Okay.
this is includes the
That's my
binary
goal.
nature of sex.
It's my
It's not a hermaphrodite. It literally go from male to female.
No,
It's my goal. It's my goal. It's my goal.
Just one sentence. Nick.
No, it ain't your goal.
Yeah, Nick.
It is my goal.
Nick.
She having a back and forth with
I'm
me.
so
She wants to
sorry, just a
respond.
small sentence, please.
Okay.
Yeah, so Night King, the phenomenon you're talking about is called sequential hermaphroditism, right? That is what it is, and it proves the binary nature of sex. But even when you have, so the animal being one sex, and then it later becomes another sex, it only can ever phase between one of two options because there are only two options.
Yeah, but the parentfish can actually go back and forth. So I get what you're saying. And no, hold on. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just agreeing with you, just in a different way, right? And I'm being constructive with my disagreement.
I didn't
And I know.
It's my kid.
Yeah, how I feel, nigga. So next time, just...
You said nigga, you can go, bro.
Also, we can't have back and forth. I can't talk to Sugar Bill.
He just answered the question. She just asked the question, bro. You can go after me. You can go on the popcorn. But it's a cute.
No, look, I'm just gonna say this one little thing and then let me move.
Man. Come on, bro.
Come on, now you being strategically
with me, bro. That's
fucking biased, my nigga.
Yeah. I'm always gonna be biased towards the women, bro. That's your punk ass up. Anyways, so let me just say this.
Oh, okay.
I'll be fast. And Jazzy, I see you. Trust me, you can get your turn. Can't no trying to take it from you. I got you, girl. But this is a chicken belly, and to the woman in general. Look, chicken belly and her ideology is being unfair. For example, when the women movement, white women coalition, and this feminine ideology started this movement, right? What they use postmodernism. A man would always tell you this, that there's a difference between women and men. But the feminists would say, no, we're the same. I should have the same rights as you. Why? Because we're human. Just because you have a penis doesn't make you more than a human than me. That's their arguments. One even made an argument saying that patriarchy and any type of sex in the patriarchal system is considered institutionalized rape. Right? So these women, they use these extreme, dumbass arguments, right? They say, we're just humans, we should be given the same amount of rights as you. We should be able to vote. We should be able to do all this type of shit, right? When obviously there's a difference between male and females. There's obvious difference. First of all, you're smaller than us. Second of all, your critical thinking skills ain't up to par with us, right? So that's obvious. You guys can't do the same things as us. We could argue that shit all day, right? But the feminists will tell you this. Regardless of all those obvious things, we should be considered equal. That's their argument. And they used that shit. And it worked. Because in a postmodernist society, hard categories does not work. It doesn't. Gave France its fucking freedom. That's what gave America its freedom. Those same beliefs that hard categories don't work. You can't just simply own shit just because you're a king and we peasants. You was human just like fucking me. You're not special, but they had hard categories back then. But anyway, so I guess you get the point what I'm trying to say. But now, this is what Sugar Belly Does are doing. Sugar Belly Does are saying this. Hey, we used it, but you can't do it. Because the dang transgender is making the same fucking argument. Obviously, you know the difference. Just like we know the difference between males, we fucking know the difference. But they're not talking about the difference. They got some nuanced point that, hey, what you consider gender isn't the same thing as what I consider gender. And if someone could dress up and do gender performance shit, like get their breasts done, like what fucking females are doing now, get their ass done, get their lips done, I could do the same thing too and call myself a fucking Even with the fucking daylight, I can do that shit. The same shit the fucking feminists did. Oh, I should be able to work a job with you. I should be over there doing construction. We can do it too. You can fucking do it. They got a fucking period every month. They can't do it. But you know what? We let it slide. And the feminists won that battle. And now they're saying the trans people can't fight the same fight too. And they're not gonna let them in. That's bigotry. That's, for me, that's the same shit white people always do. And if you black, you should be ashamed of yourself. The point is this: they have the same fucking argument. They have a nuanced point. All they want to do is be considered a fucking woman. That's it. Just like how Nicki Minaj and all these other people could do all that gender performance shit. There's some else that believe that they could do it too. And they exist, and they always existed.
All I want to do is be rich.
Well, so like do you know?
Is it my turn? I'm pretty sure
Let's
it's
change it.
Let's get Solomon
Reset.
It's my turn. Thank you.
On the queue. Can we get a reset? Can we get a reset on the queue so we know order? Because I'm also asking to.
I'm after King Solomon.
Yeah, and I'm also the Smith.
And then you hang out. You'd be out there, Sugar Belly.
And then Red Room. All right, let me write it down. Let me write it down. So it's you're going now.
Yep.
Solomon.
Yep.
So after you is Jazzy.
Yep. And then Sugar Belly, then you, then Red Room.
All right.
We good?
Yes, sir.
And I'll be quick. So, Sugar Belly, once again, you killed it, but I gotta call you out. And Nathan already did. By the way, 98% of what you said was fucking brilliant. Again, I don't know speaking through you, but you are lit tonight in terms of expressing the consequences that Sugar Belly refuses to acknowledge. The consequences of the rule set that they agreed upon, that their movement agreed upon, to essentially destroy society's objective rules and meanings in order to make these equality claims, blah, 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 this and that. Everything you said was, again, 98% of it was awesome. Sugar Belly, and the funny thing is, you're making arguments us Christians have been making for the last 30 years. It is actually blowing my mind. You are expressing the Christian position on this stage. And obviously very articulate, but it's ironic that you've been forced to make the arguments we've been making forever. And it's blowing my mind that you think you can separate or act like there hasn't been this history, that clearly, shows us making these arguments that you're now saying on the stage. This is how I know God is good. Because they were warning people like you years ago, decades ago, that this was going to happen. And all of y'all plugged your ears and made it like, nope, equality, everybody's accepting, everybody's included. Y'all were making those arguments. And now that you get the consequences of that, now you're sounding like the Christians. This is how you know Christ is king. This is exactly how you know. And again, Nathan, brilliant job, because what you're expressing, and I hope you guys were listening, because Nathan broke it down brilliantly. They made it that there are no rules. There are no hard stops. Everybody can be accepted. And now they're mad because the people that want to be accepted with those same rules are making value sets that completely essentially undermine the feminist authority. That's what's going on here. The authority that feminists were given the last 10 to 15 years, that's all going out the window. And they're panicking. They're panicking because essentially a new set of women, and obviously you guys know, I don't think they're, but you understand what I'm saying, are coming in and now saying, we women too. That's how they sound. But hey, y'all made that rule set. Don't be mad you get the consequences. What I would say, Sugar Belly, come back to God, understand that this feminist shit failed, and return to Christ. That's what I would ask you to do. rather than running away from the truth, realize the mistakes that have been made and reconsider. That's all I would have to say.
Okay, so one thing I'm not going to do is that I'm never going to allow.
Wait, Jazzy was next.
Oh, sorry. Oh, Jazz.
Jazzy. Dr. Jasmine Love, please report to the stage, Dr. Jasmine. Hey, maybe we'll let Sugar Billy go and then she can go after that. We'll check. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I'm never going to allow Christians or other religious people, right, to take credit for arguments that feminists have been making from the jump. And I'm not trying to shade people, but I do sincerely believe that there is an element of lack of comprehension in why people think that feminists have been arguing that men and women are the same, because I've heard this so many times, right? So it's like what Nathan said, where he said, oh, this is the consequence of what you guys were arguing. You were saying that, you and men are the same, and so you should have all these rights and whatever with men. What feminists have been arguing is that men and women have an equal claim to the basis of rights, and the basis of rights is humanity. At no point ever in the history of feminism have feminists ever argued that men and women are the same. And the reason why we have never argued this, and we will never argue this, is because if men and women were the same, not only would women not be able to distinguish who their oppressors are, but there would be no basis for the oppression in the first place. How could men oppress women on the basis of sex if we were the same? And this is why, this whole position that you guys gloat over, it is so nonsensical, right? And it's almost as though it relies on a lack of comprehension what feminists were saying in the first place. The whole point of feminism relies on the factual reality that men and women are different. What we're basically saying is that men have exploited the differences between themselves and women to oppress women. And those differences are driven by the fact that we have a different sex from men. Because we are female, unlike men who are male, right? Men exploit the differences that derive from being female to trap women because of reproductive capacity, to bully women and intimidate, physically harm women because being male makes men physically stronger, right? To oppress women in every aspect of social life because men are able to back up that oppression with physical violence. This is the reason why all of this, you're arguing that we're the same, therefore, it's such a stupid argument. We've never done this, ever. And, again, even this idea that, this is just a reset. No, it's not. You can literally find tweets from me from 15 years ago talking about this trans issue. This is long before most of Nigeria even knew what a trans person was. So no, you don't get to take credit and say that I'm arguing the Christian position. I am not arguing the Christian position. I'm arguing the position of logic and common sense and actual scientifically provable fact. That is the position that I'm arguing because it is the only sane position. I'm not arguing the position just because I decided to believe something and then I'm now trying to just back up my belief with arguments. That is what the trans people are doing. The trans side, they're arguing this thing because they've bought into or they've subscribed to a particular belief, right? That belief is not scientifically provable, so they're trying to work backwards and engineer arguments in support of their belief. Same thing with the Christians, same thing with the Muslims or any religious group of people. A lot, you find people who are Christian or Muslim or whatever, and yes, of course, they don't agree that men can become women or whatever, but the reason why they don't agree is not because they know all of the steps that can actually prove this logically or prove it scientifically. The reason why they don't agree is because God said so. The God of the Abrahamic cinematic universe said so. He said that in the Bible that a man must not wear what was allocated for a woman, otherwise he has committed a sin. That is the reason. And this is exactly why I've said for a very, very long time, I've said this thing for years. Christians, Muslims, and other religious people, the same WhatsApp group as trans people. You're both doing the same. The trans people are trying to assert a change in reality on the basis of their subjective belief system. And the Christians are trying to dismiss the subjective belief system of the people on the basis of their own subjective belief system. And you can't do that. You cannot dismiss somebody's religion using your own religion. Trans people are in a religion. Christians are also in a religion. If you want to claim that what the trans people are saying is not true, you need to prove it scientifically. You need to test against reality and prove that what they believe is not correct. So yeah.
Is it my turn?
Yeah, Sugar Belly, y'all deserve everything y'all get.
Yeah, it's my turn.
Jazzy's my case.
So, you guys are gonna be mad because it's gonna segue back to Sugar Belly, unfortunately. But I just feel like from listening, if the empirical data did not show that the trans religion benefited men more, that you wouldn't have a problem with it, right? Because it's a feminist talking point. So if transgenderism benefited women more, I think that you would be all for it. Is the reason you're against it so much is because it's male dominated and men essentially reap all the goods? Is that the reason, or what's the reason?
That would be reversed then.
No, the reason I'm against it is because it's not congruent with reality, right? So as a human being, so you can say that, okay, fine, my allegiance to feminism is because I'm female, right? Because it makes sense for me to be on my side. Of course, I should support the thing that would benefit me, or at least I should not support things that would harm me, right? However, apart from being female, I'm also a human being. I have to live on this planet. One of the consequences of having to live on this planet is that we need to know the nature of reality as much as humanly possible, right? And the reason is because when you don't know the nature of reality on this planet, it can have negative or even deadly consequences for you. So I also have to be biased in that direction. I can't just say that, because I'm female, I should sign up for, anything just because that thing benefits females. Because if that thing undermines reality, then on the basis of me being a human, that is also quite dangerous as well. It's the reason why I don't support toxic femininity, right? Because people say, feminists always complain about toxic masculinity, but what they don't realize is that I also don't support toxic femininity, because that too is harmful. I'm not going to just co-sign it because, it's the female side.
Okay, well, because you said that, I don't have another question, because my other question was, is feminism, what is it? The feminine movement, whatever. Are feminists rooted in reality because we need men, to do things? But you just said it like toxic femininity is not rooted in reality either. So
yeah, it's not.
Yeah, you answered my question. Thank you.
It's Hagup's turn, but before Hagup goes, because I gotta go, I just want to say one quick sentence. 10 seconds. Yeah. The only thing I was gonna say, Sugar Belly, is that I think that they're gonna argue, and this I heard. I don't know in your side of the world if you haven't heard this type of waves of feminism, but there's a wave of feminism, multiple actually, right? I think more than one actually, that claim exactly what King and Nathan was saying, that they do believe men and women are equal, exactly equal on every aspect. So I don't know if on your side of the world you haven't heard of those waves of feminism, but I think that's what they're going to argue with you.
They have a name? Who are those people?
Different ways.
It's just called feminism.
This is my favorite subject.
They're all 4B women.
This is my favorite.
Wait, hold on. Are you saying 4B? Are you saying that 4B is one of those waves, or are you saying something like a different?
They're just one of those ways.
So
4B is not one of those waves.
So we're gonna stick to the queue. We're gonna stick to the queue.
Go ahead.
Let's stick to the queue. I love this conversation. If you read my bio, it's been the same since 2021, 2020. recovering feminist. And I put that in there as a joke, but partially because gender theory was all we studied in fucking college when I was doing my college degree, because that's what we had to do. Feminism, yes, had multiple waves. And this is one of those things that's it's hilarious, right? Like, I've made it my PTR. It's called the Ouroboros. It's an old Egyptian, symbol of the snake eating itself, right? This is the issue with postmodernism. It will evidently, without doubt, become a self-fulfilling prophecy. When you deconstruct and break everything down to a certain point, it's going to eat itself and destroy itself. First wave feminism, second wave feminism is one of the few times where the slippery slope was actually true. And that is what you're facing now. Second wave feminism is the reason why the whole ideas of a social construct of gender versus biology is even a conversation. Second wave feminists are the ones who constantly argued that nurture is what masculinity and femininity are. Second and third wave feminists paved the way for what's called trans feminism. People like Judith Butler, who wrote a really, really pivotal essay and later called Gender Troubles, talks about how historically all of this was considered drag, which was the argument that was used by second wave feminists to say, hey, look, you can portray femininity by putting on a wig. It's okay. This is fine, right? We begin to challenge quote unquote binary norms. We begin to challenge objective truths. And then eventually this idea, this weird thing called intersectionality becomes a common buzzword in academia, right? In the late 80s, early 90s, all the way up until the mid 2010s, intersectionality was the big buzzword to get published, right? So when queer theory is now intersectional with feminist theory, it's hard to deny the facts for what it is. And it's ironic because Sugar Belly, today you would be called and categorized as a radical feminist. Even though I think your position, truthfully speaking, honestly speaking, is not a radical position, rather a logical position, a position from rationale that makes sense. But guess what? The postmodernism.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Are you a man because you act like a man, or do you?
No, I don't believe.
Or do you act like a man because you are a man?
I act like a man because I am a man.
Thank you very much.
Biologically,
No phone call necessary. No phone call necessary.
I know. Hold up. I troll and I agree with all of this stuff because it's fun conversation. But I don't believe that there is no binary. I don't believe that, your sex is not your destiny is one of like the quote buzzwords that happened in the first wave of feminism. All that stuff is stupid. All that stuff is, as our Jewish friends would call gobbledygook, right? It's bullshit. It's bullshit. It's bullshit to get essays.
I have a question.
It's bullshit to get essays published. But Nathan is correct. This is the postmodern world you live in. So guess what? You are now with us, Sugar Belly, as much as you hate it. You're radical.
So my question is...
Well said, you killed it, bro.
Yeah.
It's my favorite subject. I studied this shit in college because I had to.
My question is, do you realize that what you've described is a Western... It's basically it's taking like a Western history, right, of feminism and making it universal.
I am so glad you brought that up, right? Because Western ideologies and Western cultures are going to have to pay for postmodernism because this doesn't exist in the East. This doesn't exist in certain parts of the South.
Okay,
this only exists in Western culture, which we're talking about today.
I'm really glad you just said that. So everyone, let's repeat what Hagop said. Hagop said this doesn't exist in the East. It doesn't exist in certain parts of the South, right? And it only largely exists in the West. I'm so glad that you admitted that. And the reason why it's important is because in almost all of the feminism conversations, and I don't blame Westerners or people from the Western Hemisphere or like people from America for having these talking points, because to be fair, maybe their only exposure to feminism has been how it develops in their own country, right? That no harm, no foul.
And you can talk about African feminism.
Yeah,
right?
but my point is this, right? People take the development of waves of feminism in America and they talk about them as if this is what happened across the entire world. Meanwhile, in reality, that's not the case, right? The battle that women have been fighting against oppression because you're female is as old as settled agriculture. Like, there's whole parts of the world.
No one makes that argument, Sheila. Sugar belly. No one makes that
argument. Women got more power.
It isn't a conversation that just started. It was my time. I'm reclaiming my time.
Yeah, other people do make that argument though. So Nathan made the argument,
right? When we speak of the Western world, we're literally talking about the thought leaders of the world too, right?
I'm not claiming that you made this argument.
I'm reclaiming my time. I'm doing what Pam Bondi did. I'm reclaiming my time.
Yeah, you can reclaim your time, but I'm not claiming his view.
Thank you. When we talk about the Western world, we're literally talking about the first world, because that's what we live in and that's what we talk about. You yourself and everybody else benefits from the Western world because it's the safest place to live, it's the best place to fucking make money, and it's also the best place to raise kids. We're not talking about fucking Afghanistan or Iran where they force gender reassignment or transgender surgeries on 12-year-old kids or even younger 8-year-old kids. But the irony is, the Western world is supposed to be influencing the world for the better, but they're not. That is why you have a constant pressure from Eastern leaders, i.e., our homeboy in China and our homeboy in Russia, who are constantly talking about the devil in the West, because this is what it is. This is the fucking devil in the West. Okay, this trans feminism, which I hate along with you, because I think it's ridiculous. I understand your position that it is completely diminishing to women. I get you. I wholeheartedly get you. I like first wave feminism. That's why I was a feminist for a long time. I'm in complete agreement with you. But the problem is the Western world is influencing the rest of the world through its soft power to buy into feminism. That's why we here in America make it a big fucking deal. That's why people who are in money consider me a radical as well, because I don't agree with it, even though I am liberal and progressive on like 90% of other things. This one thing pisses me off.
Okay.
Samoa's next.
Okay, so who's after Samoa? I just want to know.
It's me and then you, Sugar.
Okay, no problem.
You're not after line. Yeah, I defend my time to thank you, sir.
Body on aisle 5. There's a body on aisle 5. It's sugar, the sugar aisle. The sugar aisle.
Sugar belly. I hear what you're saying, that it's the West, but keep in mind the world's not as big as most people think, right? I mean, the West encompasses a vast majority of the people on the planet that have power to force this shit down the third world countries. So, for instance, you're not going to get this loan from the International Bank unless you implement all these things we're talking about, and these countries are forced into doing it. So whether or not it originated from the West, it doesn't matter. It's the prevalent view, and we have to deal with it.
That was very nice.
Y'all are all killing it tonight. I love this one.
What's up, King?
Oh, sorry, was I outside?
Yeah,
it's you.
Okay,
it's you.
Yes. Yeah, so what I want to say is that I'm not even claiming that it's untrue, that Western ideas about this have influenced other places, especially academia, right? All of those things are true. However, it is important to point out that this is a purely Western view, because we've been arguing for hours now, and not a single time has anybody said, oh, I'm only arguing about, feminism in the West, right? When people are making arguments against feminism, they are arguing about feminism in general. right? So even the men, who say they hate feminism or the misogynistic men or whatever, they never, make a distinction and say, okay, I don't like the feminism happening in America, but the one happening in Korea, I'm fine with it. They never do that, right? They are, if they're against feminism, they're against the whole thing. They're against all the feminists. They believe that all of these problems are tied to feminism in general. So the reason why this matters is because it's then dishonest, right, to now point certain developments that happened in the West, or specifically in America, and then talk about them as if they represent the totality or like the universal nature of feminism. In reality, they simply do. In Africa, in Asia, in South America, although South America is probably the region that I really don't know much about, so I'm just going to leave it out of the conversation, right? But in Africa and in Asia, women have been fighting this battle since the dawn of settled agriculture and property rights. So it is very unfair to now talk about feminism and act as if what's her name, Angela Dworkin or whatever that lady's name was, or whatever was talking about, that is what defines feminism. I think that the only thing that the West can lay claim to is to say that they coined the name or the term feminism, right? And so we now use this name that the West came up with to talk about this perennial and universal struggle that women have been fighting against oppression. But it is very wrong to try to back engineer it and say that, because we're using the Western term feminism, then we're going to somehow, ignore everything that was happening in the rest of the world, all the other issues that the women in the world were talking about, and we're going to say that the Western ideas or the things that the Western people did, that covers everything, because nothing could be further from the truth, right? So like I said, all of these claims of they said men and women are the same. Sorry, men and women have never been the same, okay? Nowhere in Africa did anybody think men and women were the same. Nowhere in Asia did anybody think men and women were the same. If they thought men and women were the same, the women there would not have been fighting for their lives. They would have been fighting for their rights. So let's let's actually talk about feminism, the nature of the struggle, and not try to kind of use the word to erase the reality for the rest of the world. Oh, sorry.
I just want to say they announced Trump crimes and the
I'm so sorry. I have one more question. So, and kind of in relation to my point about how I think because this word has become popular, right, it has kind of poisoned people's ideas about feminism globally, right? If, let's say, me as an African woman or an African feminist or whatever, if we had come out and said things like, the feminists from Africa are called Umadaists, right? If there was a different name for the feminists from Africa, would you guys still be making the same arguments?
Yeah.
If you saw that the feminists from Africa didn't believe this shit, would you be making the same arguments?
Yes.
You wouldn't, probably.
No, these white guys don't care about Africa. They don't care about
at the end of the day, Sugar Belly, respectfully, this just goes down to female biology. All of you are like Eve. You want to, your instinct is to destroy society. And so your nature must be confined to an area in which it is productive and not the opposite, meaning destructive. Because if you allow women to do on their own, most 98% of their ideas will be to destroy society.
Correct.
That's just the way it is. And so it doesn't matter if feminism is in Africa or Asia or the West or blah, blah, blah. It does not matter. At the end of the day, women will try to do exactly what Eve did to Adam. That's just how you guys are. And it's unfortunate, but that is what we see. So it's almost like if you look at this as the 12 steps from the 12 steps to destruction, every feminist movement around the world is along that line, right? The West is just the furthest. And so we've seen what you all end up doing. And so we're warning others, do not allow these women to essentially gain power without responsibility, because that's, at the end of the day, that's what it is. It's women seeking to have power without responsibility. and a responsibility to society. When you give women power where they have no responsibility, they destroy everything. And so you can use your academics or your articulation, blah blah blah, and all. At the end of the day, it's all arguments for destroying society at the expense of me, and my freedom. No, things don't work that way. Society has a way of maintaining itself, and if women are going to be included in that, then they have responsibilities just like men, because men have a responsibility too. So that's what people are realizing, Sugar Belly, respectfully. Everybody has told you here, you tried to make this argument that, you essentially tried to make this argument that the West doesn't matter, which is hilarious because it wasn't but two and a half months ago you were arguing in here of how you lambast that the West is influencing everything. That's why I was laughing when Oleg correctly pointed out, the West is what matters. He said it diplomatically, but respectfully, Sugar Belly, the reason why nobody gives a fuck about African feminists is because
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we could do it.
Yeah, that was my mother. I'm going to call her back. The reason why most people don't give a fuck about African feminists is because, respectfully, y'all don't matter. Y'all are a small part of the population, and most women over there are actually doing what these white men pray every day white women would do in the West. They're out there having babies. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of white men that are now envious that Africa has a birth rate that's out of this world. There's going to be 1 billion Nigerians in 70 years.
Epstein
Files. They had those numbers. They're looking back in all their big Oxford institutions and all of this society that they built. They wish they could have the birth rates of who they say has the lowest IQ in the world. And yet they can't get their smart-ass feminist white women to even have one child.
King, question.
So I'm not done, Sugar Belly. So respectfully, Sugar Belly, nobody's giving a damn about African feminists because y'all don't matter. Y'all are like 0.00001% of that entire population, and most of y'all don't, again, nobody cares.
Okay, King, just a question about like the thing that you said, right? So when you say that, women destroy society at the expense of me, and my feelings.
Yes.
So I have a two-part question. So the question is, so the massive in the millions, in the tens of millions, right, that we have in Africa of child marriage, is that women destroying society at the expense of me and my feelings?
I never
mentioned any religion. I didn't mention any religion. I never mentioned any religion, please. I'm just asking you, when we have tens of millions of children married in Africa, is that women destroying society at the expense? Oh my God! Can I finish? I want to finish asking the question, please. Is that women destroying society at the expense of me, and my feelings?
That has nothing to do with feminism.
Let me finish, please.
How many times are you gonna ask the question?
I haven't asked the question, okay? Or is that men destroying society at the expense of me, and men's feelings? So please answer the first question.
Yeah, it's a false dilemma. It's a false dichotomy. It's a false dichotomy because when you look, yes, it is. Because when you look historically at who's been against those things, it's been religious people. As a matter of fact, hold on, Sugar, you asked me a question.
I didn't mention your religion.
I'm answering the question. So, as a matter of fact, for instance, the Epstein files, the only reason why in the West, hold up, Sugar Belly, I'm answering the question. The reason why in the West the Epstein files is even a big thing is because of the Christian foundation and how Christians removed. I'm not done. It's how Christians removed this crazy thought that has actually been, as you pointed out, through a lot of societies that child marriage or having sex with children is okay. The reason why the world doesn't believe that is primarily because of Christians. So pointing out feminists who were never in that conversation, historically, it means nothing because we were fighting against that. As a matter of fact, the reason why the world doesn't believe in that is because of us.
I'm reclaiming my time.
That's a fact.
I'm reclaiming my time because I asked you a very simple question.
Yeah,
I never mentioned Christians.
It's a false dichotomy.
simply because child marriage is a thing that is destroying society at scale. That's number one.
Do
So
you
it's
have
very-
your
so it's relevant.
passport?
Hang on, sorry, excuse me.
Did you get your
Excuse me,
shot?
Bonner, please stop. Okay, so King, you said women were destroying society at the expense of their feelings and selfishness of me. So I brought out an issue that is destroying society at scale, which is child marriage. And I asked you, between men and women, because there are no other options between the two, who is using child marriage to destroy society at the expense of their feelings? You know the answer is men. That is the reason why you decided to deflect to Christianity. Nobody mentioned your fucking religion, okay? That's the first thing. Now, the second thing is, and I'm sorry to say because it's funny, on one hand, you brag about Christianity, you brag about being a Christian. Oh, Christianity is against child marriage, la, 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 la. That's what you're saying. On the other hand, you're bragging about the birth rate in Africa. You're bragging about the birth rate in Nigeria, knowing full well as a Nigerian that we have this high birth rate because of the systemic, legally allowed rape of children, mass rape of children.
That's not true.
It is true.
No, it's not.
It is true.
No,
it is
not.
true. And the proof, let me finish. It is true. And the proof that it is true is that when you go to Nigeria, which has this massive highest birth rate that you're so proud of, right? And you actually break down where in Nigeria the birth rate's happening, right? You actually look at a granular level. Who in Nigeria is having all these children, these 5 to 7 children, per person, right? That is boosting the birth rate. What you find is that the vast majority of the births in Nigeria are happening in northern Nigeria. And in northern Nigeria, no, it is true and it is provable. In northern Nigeria, 48% of the girls are married below the age of 15. So the birth rate that you're bragging about children giving birth to children. When it's
Alright, Sugar Belly, it's fucked up. Women are being treated fucked up around the world. Men ain't shit. We not shit. Ain't shit gonna change overnight.
Excuse me.
My mom had 6 children. She started at 25.
I apologize for
6
all
children. She started at 25. Stop lying, Sugar Belly. Stop lying.
I'm still speaking.
My mom had 6.
I apologize for all
She started at 25. Stop lying, Sugar Belly. You're a liar.
No, we're not doing question and answer. Let's let her finish. Let's not devolve into anger and.
She's trying to say we support child rapists.
I get it. It's not nice. We can disagree, but let her finish. Let her finish. The faster we let her finish, the faster we can move on from that weird stuff.
Okay, I'm still speaking. Every single country in the world had a much higher birth rate in the past. Okay? So coming to talk about how your mommy had 6 children, your grandma had 10 children, it's completely irrelevant. I'm not talking about the birth rates in the past. The reason why, as you saw, you put it, you said, oh, white men today are crying about the birth rates going down. The reason why white men are crying about the birth rate going down, they're crying about it now in 2026, is because while the birth rate of white countries and all these other countries has been going down, right? The only place in the world where the birth rate is either holding steady or going up is in Africa. And then
because the white man is killing them bitches.
Can I finish?
The white man is killing them. Can I talk about that?
No, Jose, bro, this is the last one. Just let her finish, man.
Okay.
Come on, man. She keep just ranting about bullshit.
All right. Go ahead.
Yes. So my point is that 5 minutes ago, you were bragging about Africa's high birth rates and Nigeria's high birth rates because you know that the context in which white men are crying about the birth rates is this modern context today where everybody else's birth rate is crashing to the ground and the only people with a high birth rate are Africans/Nigerians. And that is the reason why I'm saying that is a very dishonest thing to do, because the birth rate that Nigeria has is being heavily propped up by the fact that in Nigeria in 2026, it is legal for adult men to marry children.
Can I ask you a question?
And we allow Solomon to reply.
Can I
this is
sounded like it was a direct attack. I didn't know that she was talking about your family.
No, you're good, I got. No, you're good, bro. So this is fucking retarded. Anybody who's having a conversation, and this time,
Do you have your passport? Did you get your shot? Girl, wanna come back?
Oh my Lord.
I wasn't talking about his family, please.
Good. I was just making sure.
This is, and I'll be quick. This is how you know Sugar Belly's losing, because anybody who's thinking, nobody's thinking of child rape or child marriages when we're talking about high birth rates. No one's thinking of that. As I pointed out already, my mom had 6 children. That is my direct reference. She started having kids at 24, 25. No one is thinking of fucking child marriages. And she had 6 starting in the 80s. So Sugar Belly, just admit it. You're wrong, and that's why you needed to go to this off-subject, diabolical statistic that is not proven, right? That is not, once again, that is not proven. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but this idea that the majority of women having children in Africa or having children in Nigeria underage is fucking retarded. And even if it was happening, again, that's not my reference. My reference are the women who are of age having multiple children. Because guess what? The women over 18 are also having 5 to 6 children. So let's not get into the weeds or get into other shit that no one's talking about.
Okay, can I ask my question now?
Yes, ma'am. Miss Mango.
Okay, thank you. SB. Yes, Idan, what's up? Okay, so I just pulled up the list of countries that, and let me just clarify. Are you saying that the birth rate of Nigeria being very high is directly proportional or directly related to, child marriage? Yes. Okay, so I just pulled up the countries with the most or highest child marriage rate, and Nigeria isn't. I think this is 1, 2, 3, 4. That's by rate, not by number. So if you go by number, no. I'm putting the proof in the chat. Okay, so I'm gonna post this.
Your ass is a frying pan.
Excuse me. So by rate, the country with the highest rate is Niger, because their rate of child marriage, I think, is about 70-something%. Right? Exactly. So in Niger, about 70-something% of all girls in the entire country are married below the age of 18. But by absolute number of child brides, Nigeria is the number 3 country in the world. The only countries in the world that have more child brides than Nigeria are India and Bangladesh. So okay. I'll post in the chat. Okay, so are you talking? Sorry, 1 second. Yeah. Are you talking when you say rate? You're talking about like percentages wise, right? So Nigeria doesn't have much rate. No, so Nigeria's percentage looks low because Nigeria has a large population. Jigger. So Nigeria is 200. So I get that. People. So why do we want to invert it in terms of number?
Exactly.
So the reason why it matters. Sorry. The reason why it's in terms of number,
the rate you're trying to think like majority of Nigerian women are fucking having children underage.
I'm trying to
That's
answer.
Not true.
Oh my God, please. I'm trying to answer her, please. The reason why, right, in terms of number, it's important is because look at the statements that King made, right? So King said, white men are crying today because their fertility rate is going down. The reason why white men cry about this fertility rate is because their population is going down, right? So they're talking about the absolute numbers. Their fear is that if the fertility rate of white women, for example, remains so low, the absolute numbers of white people are going to shrink, right? So in the case, hang on, Idan mathematical consequence. Like I get what she's saying, but like I'm trying to understand why. What I'm saying is that
you got the hands around the throat to show the hands are alive. Come on, shut the fuck up, goddamn.
Can y'all it's just like it's so exhausting trying to have like a serious conversation.
He's been dick sucking all day.
like it's so frustrating because like I'm just trying to have the conversation.
No, you're
like
trying to be divisive, and it didn't work. Most Nigerian women are not having children underage. Like stop lying.
Man, y'all just let her take over.
Man, you just need to shut the fuck up.
Again, bro,
Hold on.
Children underage.
Y'all better stop attacking Sugar Belly.
Wait,
You're fucking
Sugar Belly, can you explain in like 30 seconds why the rape is more important, or
No,
the
raw
number?
I'm saying.
Hold on 1 second. Can you explain in 30 seconds why the raw number is what we should use instead of the rate, like how often it's happening?
Yes. So I'm saying that the raw number matters for what King said, right? Because the issue that he said that they're crying about is that fertility rates are dropping everywhere else, and it's only in Africa/Nigeria that the fertility rate is either holding steady or it's going up. Right? And I said that bragging about Nigeria's high rate of fertility is dishonest or disingenuous, because when you zoom into Nigeria and you look at, okay, why do we have a high rate of fertility? What you see is that majority of the births that are happening in Nigeria are happening in northern Nigeria. Right? So southern Nigeria, the fertility rate in southern Nigeria is actually going down, or at least it's significantly lower.
That's not true.
Oh my God, please. Like
Sugar Belly, that's why I said 30 seconds, because we have
it's not a 30-second thing. Like I'm trying to be as succinct as I can.
over and over and over again.
I actually like to have this conversation.
No, you don't. Yeah, me too.
They clearly don't want to have the conversation.
We do. Okay, finish where you left off.
It's like it's
Sugar Belly, can you change your voice? This is getting annoying.
No, please wait. Sugar Belly, you were talking about northern versus southern Nigeria.
Nigeria's fertility rate and number of births is increasing in northern Nigeria, but not in southern Nigeria. So whenever somebody says, oh, Nigeria's population is increasing, the bulk of that population increase is happening because of northern Nigeria. And the reason why this matters is because in northern Nigeria, this is where the vast majority of the child marriage is happening. Right? So if you're going to brag about having all these births in northern Nigeria, you are consequently bragging about the higher rate of fertility that you get from child brides. Now, I posted in the chat, right? I posted in the chat evidence that shows that child brides have higher fertility than women who entered marital life as adults. The total fertility rate of child brides is 6.8 in Nigeria.
Okay, but Shirabeli, so the thing is, I understand.
Idan, can you explain why you think the rate is more important than the raw number?
So I think rates just allows for fair comparison, right? So like when I'm coming up to talk about this, I'm like both for countries with high rates and raw numbers, child marriage is unacceptable, right? But what I'm basically challenging is the fact that Nigeria's high rate of birth is due to just excess straight on child marriages. So why I think the rate is, more important, because it allows for fair comparison. Now, take for example, you have Nigeria, a larger population compared to Niger. If you take the number and you just want to compare it, you miss the severity of the issue, right? So what a rate tells me is that the chances of a girl child that grows up in Niger to actually be married off at a younger age is higher than that of in Nigeria, right? That's what the rate tells me. So in my own opinion, right, I think the rate is more important. It shows the severity of the issue. It shows where change is most needed. It gives fair comparison as to, what the society needs to change and how it should change. So, that's what I came up to address it as.
Yeah, I like that.
Another reason about, just 1 second, another reason about why I think the rate is, the rate of childbirth is high in Nigeria is, I don't think it's solely just due to marriage.
I didn't think it's solely. That's not fair.
You're not saying it's solely? Okay, then that's fair. If you're not saying it's solely.
Yeah. So Idan, on your point, no, I didn't walk it back. At no point did I say it's solely. And I find it crazy.
Well, you didn't give it any
the reason.
Excuse me. Like, hang on, excuse me. It's crazy how I literally took the time to give the nuance, right? That if you look at Nigeria's rates, you have to go into North versus South. And then if you look at the North, you now have to look at the nature of the marriages, only for you to now somehow flatten that to say that I'm saying that it's stolen. The reason why rate is not appropriate in this circumstance is because the rate that Nigeria has obscures the degree of the problem. So if you compare Nigeria to Niger, for example, using rates, you say, oh my God, Niger has a worse problem, right? Because Niger has a low population, but in Niger, it's 70% of the girls. In Nigeria, once you enter Nigeria and you remove the south of Nigeria, what you now find is that in the north of Nigeria, you have rates of child marriage that are similar to Nigeria's rates.
You can't remove the south of Nigeria.
Can I finish, please? Like this is so frustrating. It's so frustrating. In northeast Nigeria,
man, that's the problem. You keep spewing on over and over and over again.
Just repeat herself.
You know what? I'm not surprised.
Y'all being mean, but Sugar Belly,
I'm not
you
surprised.
are talking for a long time.
Surprised. Talking for a long time because I keep getting interrupted.
No, that's not why. But go ahead, though.
Ma'am?
They're being mean.
Y'all get off of Sugar Belly. She fighting for her fucking life.
Call her child.
Fighting for her fucking life in here.
Y'all rapist, bro. What the fuck?
I don't have to do this. Like, for you to lie, Like, and you've said it 3 times now, for you to lie that I called you child rapist.
Come on, Sugar Belly, you know what you did. You know the language you used. You tried to make it like I support that fucking evil shit. So don't fucking start crying on the stage, woman. You know what you did. You know what you fucking did. Don't start crying on the stage. Like, look, Sugar Belly, don't cry on the stage when you know what you just tried to do.
What is so
that fucking evil shit? You tried to paint that on me.
These are the deviants.
I agree because in the chat, hold on real quick. In the chat,
what is
Sugar Belly,
so frustrating?
hold on, one second.
You know that shit is evil, and yet you tried to make it like I support it.
Nathan, help. In the chat, Sugar Belly, you said no wonder they don't care. All their presidents are pedophiles.
Exactly.
Exactly, ma'am. Exactly.
Excuse me. So again, like, I don't know what is going on. Please, Dr. Jasmine, read out what is read in the chat.
Stop
Read
playing
word for word.
You a liar.
Read it word for word.
Look, Sugar Belly, you doing so great earlier, and then you just devolved into
He
this
said,
shit.
I'm not surprised you Americans don't care. After all, your president is pedophile.
Okay, so
what makes you think we don't care about
Where's the charges to support that?
Damn.
So I said, after all, your president, that's one person.
You said we don't
pedophile.
care.
Let me finish.
But you said
How much time did you have on face, man?
Let me finish.
Question at a time for her,
I
please.
said your president, that's one person, is a pedophile. What you told the stage was that I said all your presidents are pedophiles. In the exact same vein,
That's
6
crazy,
months from
Jess.
hang on, wait, let me finish. 6 months from now, when I no longer come to Chilism, King will be going from pillar to post saying that I called him a child rapist. Meanwhile, I never said any such thing.
Yeah, that's
Like
true.
a lot of
And
you
I got all wrong.
a lot of you are actually comfortable
Sugar
with
Belly.
telling lies.
1 second. I got the all part wrong, but long story short, the insinuation was you were saying that we're okay, or that people, Americans, are okay with what King was. Hold on 1 second. Hold on. You were saying that we're okay with that because our president's a pedophile, that you saying the high rate of childbirth due to child marriage or whatever, the population, that we don't care, and we do care. We don't.
I'm sorry, but like when we're trying to have a serious conversation about this, and people are sighing, rolling their eyes, interrupting, writing, "Oh, why should we care?" in the chat, right? The attitude is very telling. So you know, like, I mean, like, it's actually really frustrating, honestly.
But to say all Americans don't care, like, that's insane.
I don't care. At this point, I'm sorry to say, but like based off when we're talking about seriously, this is not the first time it's happened. This is not the first time I've been in Chilism talking about child marriage, which is a very serious thing. And I've had Americans coming off the mic saying, nobody gives a fuck about Africa. Oh, we don't care. This is America. Blah, blah, blah.
Okay,
Are you pretending this is the first time it's happening?
Okay, I didn't hear that. I've been in and out all day, so.
Yeah, but that's
my apologies. I just
those conversations are important, but I think when we harp on it for too long, it does get to a point where the room gets fatigued with it, and I think that's the response you're hearing.
Oh, acting like I'm not being interrupted 10 million times. Like I have literally
for 20 minutes.
Excuse me. I don't care. You're doing it right now. No, wait. No. What is really funny, right? Is that like every single time I complain about it being interrupted, people will come up and tell me, "Oh, you're long-winded." Somebody will interrupt me in the middle of me saying that I'm constantly interrupted. None of you will come up and say, "Oh, this person, why do you keep interrupting her?"
That's not true.
Well, that's not true because I just defended you.
I am so clear at this stage from you.
What are we talking about?
Wait, first of all, I know that's not true. I've seen moderators moderate on your behalf multiple times, Sugar Belly. And you also have to keep in mind, you're very disruptive. You like to interrupt people too. So, like, if there's a tit for tat being had and the mods are allowing it to happen, so be it. You just have to regulate yourself or maybe, like, realize, oh, shit, maybe they're letting this happen because I've kind of been, like, chiming in the middle of other people's submissions too. But don't make it seem like no one, like, comes in and like stops the room for you so you could have your submission. That's not true.
I'm not saying that hasn't happened, but what I'm saying is that there is a very strong level of dishonesty about the rate at which people feel comfortable interrupting me in this room. This thing has been happening since I ever came to this room, right? And I ignore it. I ignore it, right? Because okay, fine, cool. People in Chilism are disruptive, but people are pretending as if like there's not this overwhelming trend of people interrupting me, talking over me, coming off their mic to sigh or whatever while I'm talking. Like that is a thing that happens constantly. So like I said, like, you know, if that's what you want to do in your room, fine, no problem. Like no problem. Like do that. Like I'll just leave your conversation for you.
I got something to say real quick. Two things can be true. Wait, I haven't said nothing. Let me, real quick. So two things can be true, right? I have brought this up that men in this room love to cut women off at disproportionate rates. We were literally talking about this yesterday because the other girl was getting cut off constantly. The second thing I was going to say, Sugar Belly can also be long-winded, which causes people to interrupt her more than most people, right? So both of those things can be very true. But in this conversation, you get to a point where some people get annoyed with Sugar Belly because she's long-winded, and then they start cutting her off to get on her nerves. So two things can be true.
Can I say, I just want to say this. They interrupt everybody in the room, especially me too. Sugar Belly, I think you're good for conversation. Like I think you're a great addition to the room.
And I appreciate you, Sugar Belly.
I'm sorry that you feel the way you feel, but I think we just got to work with it. And sometimes your submissions, I think you're used to like scholarship and academic conversations where you are the spearhead.
Right, this is the ghetto, girl. You need to, you know what I mean? Chop.
Right, so I think that Clubhouse, you see what he's doing? You see? And I'm still going to talk. I think Clubhouse is just not the place for the long TED Talk type submissions. But I do think you make great submissions, though. That's all I want to say.
Yeah, we gotta have a Sugar Belly appreciation room because you bitches are ungrateful. Like, and another thing, when fucking concrete goes concrete, but when it goes on for 5 hours, nobody complains about him being long-winded, right? They go on and on and on and on and on for hours.
Everyone complains about
I'm just saying. Hold on.
Oh, shit,
A woman is speaking.
He's saying no one moderate. What he's saying, y'all might complain, but you don't moderate.
Hello? I thought you people can hear me. Hello? A woman is speaking. Okay.
You're not a woman.
You ain't no fucking woman. You see this shit?
Yep. See what y'all done?
Case in point, feminism leading to transfeminism. Thank you.
I am not trans. I am trans financial. I consider myself to be
You just identified as a bitch.
Okay? I am trans financial.
Anyway, I'm just going to say the last thing I was trying to say to Idan, right? So, Idan, the reason why using rates of the country is deceptive is because, like I said, when you enter Nigeria that supposedly has a lower rate of child marriage than Niger, our next door neighbor, who has a rate of 70-something%, right? And you go to the part of the country that is what is boosting Nigeria's fertility rate, which is northern Nigeria. What you now see is that northern Nigeria has rates of child marriage that are identical to that of Niger. So, for example, in northwest Nigeria, the rate of child marriage is 78%, right? In Niger, it's 76%. In northwest Nigeria, 78%.
Well, solve the problem, then. Stop talking about it. Solve the problem.
Wait, what is that?
Another interruption.
What in the Bantu place?
Why was that necessary? Can you just wait? All right, bro. We're gonna. No, we're not doing this. We're going to respect people's submissions. She clearly was speaking. If you have like a question and she obliges you, then sure, like go ahead. But if she wants to speak, just let her speak.
I have a question.
Hang on, I'd like to finish what I was saying, right? So as I said, in northwest Nigeria, the rate of child marriage is 78%. In northeast Nigeria, the rate of child marriage is 70%, right? In north central Nigeria, the rate of child marriage is 61%. So King has now run away after falsely accusing me of calling him a child rapist, right? And I think that was extremely unfair, because what I said to King was that you cannot on one hand be bragging that Nigeria has a high rate of a high fertility, that Nigeria is having, lots of new people being added, but you don't want to look at what is causing that a high rate, what is contributing to that high rate. The high rate of population in Nigeria is coming from northern Nigeria. It's not really coming from the south of Nigeria, it's coming from the north, right? And in the north, the rate of children being married is 61% to 78%. So you have to factor that in when you're bragging about, Nigeria's fertility rate is going up. And also, he then tries to say that, there's no evidence. No, there is. Child brides have a higher fertility rate than adult brides. The rate of child brides in Nigeria is 6.8. You see, rate of adult brides in Nigeria is 5.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Because you said percentage, and I'm not challenging you in any way. I'm asking you a question. Do you know per 1,000 people how many childbirths occur in Nigeria? Per 1,000 people? Because that's the way they measure the rate on Google, on all the studies I read.
Yeah,
it was
So
per 1,000
what she's
people.
basically doing is she's dividing the north and the south and then saying, let's take the rates in the south, and then you see that even the rate in the south is quite comparable to that of a whole country in Nigeria. So she's excluding a whole portion of the country. I don't know.
That's what I wanted to know per 1,000 people.
Idan, the reason why
For
I'm
the whole
saying,
country.
the reason why I'm saying that, the reason why I'm saying that, like, we have to look at northern Nigeria separately is because the rate is trending downwards in southern Nigeria, right? And the reason why that's relevant is because King's entire point was about the comparison of how in the West, people are crying because their fertility rate is trending downwards. And then he was trying to brag on Africa or brag on Nigeria because our fertility rate is going upwards. But I'm saying that in Nigeria, in the South, it's, we're having comparable issues. It's not as bad as the West, obviously, right? But that whole upwards fertility rate that you're bragging on, it's coming from northern Nigeria. And in northern Nigeria, a lot of it is coming from the fact that they marry kids.
Well, do you know the rate per 1,000 people? I'm asking a question because I want to compare. Because you gave me a percentage,
Let me look it up. Nigeria birth rates per 1,000 people.
Wait. So I have just a question, Sugar Belly. You were using statistic earlier. You said 68% of marriages are child.
Childbirth.
No, not of marriages. No. So it's of girls. It's of girls, right? So 60. Huh? What do you say?
Of little girls marrying men. You said
Yes.
68%. What
Yeah,
does that
so
mean?
so
That's-
it's
is that
61.
the
So 61% of girls in North Central Nigeria are married before the age of 18. In Northwestern Nigeria, it's 78% of girls, and in Northeastern Nigeria, it's 70% of girls.
70% of girls under 18?
70% of girls are married below the age of 18 to adult men, and then if you want to limit it to only those who are married below the age of 15, then it goes. Sorry, what do you say?
That's awful.
Yeah, it's pretty bad, and if you limit it to those married below the age of 15, right? Then for the whole of Nigeria, it's 12% of all the girls in Nigeria, and for Northern Nigeria, it's 48%.
What's the childbirth rate? Because I think that's what we were talking about.
The childbirth rate of child brides in Nigeria is 6.8, and then I think the general for the whole country. Let me just look it up 1 second. So
yeah, I wanted to know per 1,000 people, so I could compare it to this AI overview that it gave me, because it didn't include Nigeria. It has a bunch of other countries.
Okay, so
I'm just asking you. Maybe I can look it up. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so the overall birth rate in Nigeria, this is for the whole country, is 4.7 to 5.3, and per 1,000, that is 33 per 1,000 people, right?
Mm-hmm. So that's just as high. Yeah, because the other countries are 43 per 1,000, so that's not that far off.
No, so that's the point I'm making. The point I'm making.
Yeah, no, I wasn't talking about for your point. I'm talking about for King's point and whoever. Like, it's not that far off, the rate. Because remember, we were talking about the rate earlier, but whatever.
Yeah, so Nigeria's overall fertility rate is 4.7 to 5.3 children per woman, right? This is for the general country. But when you limit it to child brides, it's 6.8 per woman. Well, per girl, really. So King was trying to act as if there's no difference, right? That this has nothing to do with marrying children. And I'm like, no. When marrying little girls can produce 6.8 children per girl, and marrying adults is only going to produce 4.7 to 5.3, then clearly the boost in the population is at least partially due to the fact that in Nigeria, it's legal for men to marry children.
Or because they're having at least 2 children before 18.
Yeah, but
because they're not having all the kids at a minor age, but it's still fucked up. I'm not trying to agree with it, right? I'm just saying, all of them have at least 2 kids before they're 18, so that could boost. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Which is tied to the fact that they can marry them before they're 18, or even before they're 15, or even before they hit puberty. Like our law literally provides for the scenario where a man is married to a girl who's below the age of puberty.
Ew.
Sounds like y'all need westernization. Let's go transform.
Sometimes this is why I say thank God for the West all the time, because I just couldn't do it. I'm sorry.
I mean, realistically, Africa probably, and Africans don't like to hear it, but like they would benefit from colonization. Like they can't really govern themselves, and I mean they have fucking
low level.
I mean, if you look at like even like Zimbabwe, there's no reason they should not be basically feeding half the fucking continent. Like they can't take care of their fucking.
Though they're doing a great job.
I think we glazed over the question that I asked in the chat. What percentage is married before puberty? I'm sorry, what was that answer?
Before puberty?
80%.
Correct.
No, so
80%.
What is it? 48% in the north are married before 15. 12% nationwide are married before 15. We don't have numbers for like if your puberty cutoff is what? Is it like what's your number for like puberty cutoff? Are you doing 11, 12, 10?
Do 13.
13. Okay, so we don't have hard numbers for those married before 13. However, the law does allow for that scenario. In fact, just I think it was 2 weeks ago, we literally saw like a 5-year-old girl getting married to an adult man. just 2 weeks ago, and like it was a well-attended wedding ceremony. It wasn't, nobody was hiding. They had a huge wedding party out in the open in public. People were applauding and stuff. Like she even kissed him on video.
Is he allowed to consummate the marriage?
Wait, where was this at?
Before
Nigeria.
puberty? Is he allowed to?
It's important to know that all Nigeria is predominantly Muslim, the true thing that happens. Don't just localization to Nigeria.
Not just Muslim countries, gypsies do it too, and they don't have a religion. They marry a Christian.
But I'll find the video.
No, they're not Christian.
You know, like dead serious. The Rome,
Like gypsies.
Boy, shut the hell up.
So, Jazzy, gypsies like the Yazidis and the Kurds, or like gypsies like the Indian one?
You never seen that damn TV show? They live in New Jersey.
They're weird, bro.
The Romani gypsies, you can look this up. I'm not.
They don't have a religion.
They have a form of
weirdos.
They do believe in Christianity. However, a lot of them, what they believe is that they took the nails out of the cross that was hanging Jesus, and so they do kind of have they get a pass to steal. Jesus. I'm dead serious. No, I'm not making this shit up.
Okay, well, they marry their kids off young too. So
They have really weird things. A lot of the gypsies that you see, like they'll allow their kids.
I don't care what
They'll raise each other's kids. Basically, they raise each other's kids. Like they, it's very common when you see a family that one or two of them are not even their real biological kids. Like I don't know why they do this, but they're very different.
They're also in prison a lot. They're free people. They do what they want to do. But
so, I put a link in the chat. So this is the child marriage that happened in Nigeria last month, end of January. You can just look at the video and see the child for yourself and like see, how old you think that girl is. But you can also see that like they weren't hiding, like the wedding was packed. The wedding was absolutely packed. And the reason why the wedding was packed in the open is because it's legal. Nobody's coming to arrest them. And this is why it's so unfair. It's so unfair that King said, "Oh, you're accusing me of being a child rapist." You cannot be a Nigerian bragging about the high child rates, high childbirth rates, knowing that this kind of shit is happening in the country in the open.
But there are a bunch of savages that live there. Like, why do we care?
They're not that savage. These are civilized people doing this. And that's what you don't understand, you dumbass nigga. They're not hunter-gatherers. These are rich-ass people marrying their kids off.
Yeah, well, I understand they have rich-ass people
what
there.
they did in America.
But they're a minority.
How old do you think
Look at Lagos. Like, you'll see, like, somewhat modern skyline and parts of it, but then you'll have millions of people literally on the periphery of the city, like, wading through open sewage.
Like Miami?
Dr. Jasmine, how old do you think that girl in this video is? Like, just like,
let me look.
How old do you think she is? Look at it. This was January 31st of this year.
I don't care how old she is. She's obviously too young.
Yeah, she's like 6 or 7, right? Maybe 5.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter.
And the man she's married, that man is 20-something. That guy is like 20-something.
Regardless how old he is, that's insane.
It is a sickness.
It's not that insane, though, if you think about it.
It's definitely like when I don't like to talk about this because we did just come from this part of society like 100 years ago.
No, like even 60 years. Like look at Elvis. Yeah. He was dating a fucking 13-year-old.
And it was normal.
Yeah.
And I don't like to talk about this shit.
You guys know the situation in Pakistan, right? Like they passed a law last year or the year before completely criminalizing child marriage, and it still continues to this day. They have no way of stopping their own people from breaking the law because it happens on such large of a scale. Again, shout out to the Western world. Shout out to Westernization. It's a double-edged sword. You got to take transformers.
So what, you want another Christian crusade? Because that's the way you could stop
Christian.
I do.
I'm not with y'all. Jesus, God never called for no damn Christian, nobody to kill nobody. You guys are sick.
I didn't say anything about
You're sick. No. You're sick.
God is sick now.
So to the point that you made about westernization or whatever it is, Western world and stuff, right? This is what I mean when I say that people ignore the activities of African feminists who were the ones fought to stop these things. So for example, look at Malawi. Malawi had child marriage like the rest of Africa, that was very normal for them. They've had so many different men who came to power. They were kings, they were chiefs, they were whatever. None of these men thought there was anything wrong with child marriage. They let it happen. They get a woman who is a chief or a king or something, and what does she do? She bans child marriage, and not only does she ban child marriage, she actively goes there, her group of people, and forcefully drags the girl away. And she's done
You're talking about
so
Banda?
many. Sorry, what did you say?
What was her name?
She was chief in Malawi, right?
She was, she was there.
Yeah, not the president. I think she was the king. She was a traditional ruler or something, right? But the point is that she used her traditional ruler authority, right, to physically force the child marriages over. She wasn't okay, stop doing this thing, it's bad. No, she was in the authority vested in me, I am ending this shit today. Another woman, I think it was either Kenya or somewhere else, she too was ending child marriage. And what happened? The men murdered her. Men got together and murdered this lady because they didn't like her stopping them from marrying kids. And then tomorrow, people will say stuff like, oh, it's because of westernization that's stopping. No, you're ignoring the fact that African feminists have been fighting this shit for as long as it's existed.
Yeah, but those feminists are the westernized.
And I was,
that's where they got
exactly.
from.
I Googled it, Western educated Dr. Joyce Banda. Right, that's why I said
that's what
talking about.
Yes, you see, these African feminists got
educated
Western
where?
feminists.
Educated where?
Yeah, but her being educated in the West doesn't change the fact that women have been against child marriage.
No, it's Western influence.
Yeah, no, but hang on. I think that what you're doing is that you're trying to say that before she got educated in the West, she didn't know child marriage was bad.
No, that's not what I'm saying. She could hold the position that child marriage is bad from birth. She sees it and observes it. But the infrastructure or the structures that be to actually implement change and how to do change is through her westernization process. She went to school in Canada for a bachelor's, a master's, and a PhD. She studied in the West.
Say this?
Do you
studied in the West.
No, the power that she uses to end the child marriages is her traditional cultural position. If she didn't have that traditional cultural power, she wouldn't be able to do anything. It's because she literally has that position.
Yeah, but this is stupid. It's okay, how did Marxism spread all over the world, for example?
Credit to the West, bro. That's
it was
I'm not saying that you can't credit the fact that the West has influenced things. I literally said that a lot of these first wave, second wave, third wave feminism ideas from the West, they influence a lot of academia. I said that. You remember when I said that?
Right. And I think they influence a lot of Africans, right? That's what you're saying. Afro-Latin would be too, right? You would disagree with that?
Mm-hmm.
What he's saying that feminization, feminism and westernization influenced a lot of African academics as well. African feminist academics. I think that's what it's saying.
Your mic is kind of low. Can you repeat that?
Oh, fuck. Wait, hold on. I don't know what it is. Hello?
Mm-hmm.
I think Haga is saying that the feminist movements also influenced a lot of African feminists as well, Afro-feminists.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. I don't disagree that the Western feminist movements have also because they've influenced everywhere, right? So I don't think that there's any part of the world that is familiar with the West that hasn't had some influence. So I don't disagree. But I'm saying that on the issue of child marriage, the opposition to child marriage is much, much older than contact with the West.
Sure, yeah. Sure, I mean, but like, do you discount? I mean, like, but I guess, how could we like isolate and like be like sure that like her Western education and upbringing has nothing to do with like her positions? Like do we know that for certain, or is this?
I'm not saying that it could not be a factor, and I think I don't know why people are flattening my positions to these black and white lines in the sand. Like, I'm not saying it cannot be a factor.
Just asking questions.
Education takes your ideas and radicalizes them, reinforces them, turns iron into steel by refining them. And when that education is directly affected, funded, or in any way shaped by Western culture and ideologies, if you will yourself adopt certain mechanisms and ideologies of the West. Someone brought up Mandela. Mandela is really into Marxism at one point. Mandela studied at, I think, you guys can correct me, someone knows better than I do, but I know that he studied at British schools that caused them to feel the inequality even more than he would in his day-to-day life. That in itself is the westernized effect. It happens everywhere in the East too. Eastern leaders are directly influenced by Western education systems. Some of the biggest, greatest leaders of the world graduated from places like Sorbonne, right? They learned geopolitics in the halls of Austrian universities and went back to their Eastern Bloc countries and changed them because they learn about these radical ideas of Marxism, social democracies, socialism, and all these things that are fundamentally Western ideologies.
No.
Yes.
No,
no.
Like
socialism.
When it comes to especially
Marxism and socialism are Western ideology.
Yeah, the economic theories are the ones that spread all over the world. Whether it was far left, whether it was different forms of capitalism, that literally did radiate out from the West into the rest of the world.
Yeah, I don't think that the claim, right, is that these things don't influence or refine ideas. But when it comes to things like child marriage, for example, like you've had this opposition for a very long time. Like if you look at India, for instance, in India, you can find so many cases, so many instances of like stark illiterate girls. These are girls who have never seen the inside of a school. Opposed to child marriage. They don't want to get married. They stall. They have to physically drag them. They run away. They abandon their family. They pretend that they're crazy. They go to temples to kind of seek refuge or whatever. This has been happening all over the world for thousands of years. So the idea that child marriage is bad is not a Western feminist invention. It simply isn't. The most you can ever say is that somebody who already, just from observing their own society growing up, they already came to the conclusion that child marriage was bad. If that person gets a Western education, they may say, okay, now I really have better tools to describe why it's bad, right? Or I have better arguments to make about why it's bad. But we literally have illiterate women in Nigeria, illiterate women all over Africa, who when you talk to them, they say one of their greatest regrets in life is that they were married off as children. So it has nothing to do with Western education.
Yes, it does, Sugar.
You just strawman me and steel-man my point, which is crazy. Sorry, go ahead.
I mean, specifically in India, here, I just put it in the chat. They banned a lot of shit that came from the West.
No, I'm not claiming that they don't. So again,
and look, Sugar, I'm not saying there weren't people in India.
I'm not claiming that the British didn't ban this stuff. Like I don't understand why this is always the response. Like if the British also didn't agree that this stuff was right, and the British were in the position of power to ban it, yeah, that totally makes sense. Like that's how it played out historically. But what I'm saying is that even when the British rolled into India and they said we're banning this shit, right? Inside that same India, you had tons of people who were against the child marriage, but they themselves were not in a position of power to do anything about it. That's my point.
I understand your point. And what I'm saying is not, like, it's not going against what you're saying. But the West had the power, right? The West could have came in and said, you know what, everything looks kosher here. We're just going to send some postcards back home. Just keep doing what you're doing. But that's not what happened in our timeline.
Yeah, but I agree. Like, I'm not disputing that. Like, that is what historically happened, right? Which is why I said to Hagop, the West influenced a lot of places around the world. That is true. But my opposition, right, is based on this idea that had they not encountered the West, the people there would not have seen anything wrong with child marriage.
That is true, because they had to be.
PP, 1 second. I'm saying that. I'm saying that the opposition to not only child marriage, right, but a lot of these barbaric practices, that opposition has always been there in these societies. However, what tended to happen is that those who were opposed did not necessarily have the power to stop those who were in support.
Yeah, because usually like in Afghanistan, the men are the ones with power. And unfortunately, as you saw, as soon as the West, America, and allies left Afghanistan, those fucking idiots started to do the same exact things they did before we were there. So, yeah, it's the men who have power, and they don't want to implement stuff that we think is reasonable.
So this is where I find her justification to be, like, not kind of unreasonable. People don't think something's wrong often until they are... Or until they see that there's a different way, a better way. Like, I'm sure a lot of the girls, for example, he brought up Afghanistan, they probably think it's an injustice that they lost a bunch of their rights and girls can't go to school now. That's especially going to be so because, well, they used to be able to go to school. But how would you... the only way these feminists in Africa would come up with this shit is literally they went from 0 to 100 once, and it's all because of their influence with the West. They didn't come up with this shit on their own.
Okay, so PP, like, it's really I'm not surprised that you have this opinion because you're a male, right? So I can see how a man would not realize that the mere experience of either you yourself going through child marriage personally or observing other girls close to you going through child marriage is sufficient for you to come to conclusions about how child marriage is bad. It's crazy that you think that in Africa, where child marriage was rampant, billions of people had to wait for the West to come to tell us that child marriage is bad, when they literally had the opportunity themselves to experience being fucked by an adult man when they were 7 years old. You read
that's not what I'm saying.
Sugar Belly. No one's saying that Sugar Belly.
And Sugar Belly, I'll actually make this comment. Okay? No, hold on.
You can have an opinion. You can live in a society to Sugar Belly and have an opinion on child marriage. You can either support it, you can not support, or you could be indifferent about it. Right? But they're saying, so if you were indifferent about it and you went to a Western school, right, and you're passionate about it, you're going to get all the tools and everything to combat it because that's what they promote and that's what they teach in the West. Compared to you being in Africa with your opinion. You're just going to have your opinion. Just like you said.
And this is stupid. Like, you literally have cultures that don't even think, for example, rape is that serious. They actually think rape is like, they think, like, for example, there were native tribes in Mexico. This was going on into the early 2000s where rape, and these are very rural areas, but of course, in the cities where the judicial system and the police, kind of have more control, rape is wrong. It's illegal. And of course, most of them are Catholic, so it's just bad. But with a lot of these natives, they would say rape, like, that sounds like a silly judicial law. Their concept of rape being a very, like, violent or something that would, like, tarnish you or dirty you, that didn't even register in their mind. You didn't take somebody's quote unquote innocence.
This is such a racist.
And that's not racist. No. This was actually something this is not racist. You're so stupid.
Excuse me.
This is how low IQ you are. We're talking about people with phenomenal.
You gotta let her rebuttal.
Excuse me.
Let her
She's so
even if she's strawman you.
Because I know it's not some one-drop Mexican mongrel that is telling me that I'm low IQ. So as I was saying, this is such a racist and misogynistic point of view. Because you say, oh, there were cultures that didn't think there was anything wrong with rape. Whenever people say this, it relies on ignoring what the people who are the victims of that thing think. Okay, that's what it relies on. You have a culture where rape is rampant, and because rape is rampant, here you're surmising that, oh, in this culture, rape is okay.
Why is rape bad? Why is it so traumatizing?
I'm talking.
Why is it traumatizing?
I am talking. Because
let her finish. Just let her finish.
I'm talking.
Let her finish.
The question that PP just asked proves the point that I made when I said that I can why PP would not be able to understand how African with no contacts with the West could come to the conclusion that child marriage is bad by themselves. Because he just asked us now, why is rape bad?
That's essential to the question.
Excuse me.
No, I asked her. Why is rape?
Let her finish though.
No, she did. She did just finish.
No, she didn't. She was trying to get to a bigger point.
Can you drop him? Because I'm getting a headache.
No.
Headache. Drop him and bring him back up when I'm done. Right?
No, he's not going to interrupt anymore. Go ahead.
He just asked us, why is rape traumatizing? The only way you can ask that question is if you refuse to consider how the person who is raped would feel as a result of them being raped. And it's the same thing with child marriage. The reason why you think that people in Africa cannot basically figure out that child marriage is bad is because you simply refuse to consider that Africa had millions, hundreds of millions of women, right, who were as children, and they got to experience firsthand why child marriage is bad. And you dare to call me low IQ. You're basically subhuman.
Sorry, can I reply now?
Look, can I just make a comment right here? I remember when I was in philosophy class, my professor said this. When you say the question or you ask the question and you say, hey, it's obvious the answer is this, that's just a sign of indoctrination. Like, hey, that's a stupid question because you know why. That's just you being indoctrinated to feel something. He's saying this, look, but in certain society, and look at how you would have to go to the victim and say, did this hurt? And they say yes, then you understand that, hey, rape is bad. But I think what my boy Pepe is saying is something like this. What if you get a victim that say, hey, it's whatever? Then you take their position and then rape is whatever? Based on your argument, Shikabelly, yes, that would have to be the case. And if a society is based like that, then, hey, the only way they know about rape being bad, not just from being a victim, right? They will know about it from being educated by other people explaining that, hey, this thing is bad.
Well, this is the problem.
Let's have her explain it more.
Sure. This is I knew she was going to try to drown out. See, yeah, Sugar Belly. Can you just drop her and until I'm done? I mean, so much. But anyways, okay, the reason why that was the most important question is that the trauma, especially when it comes to something like rape, is the trauma that really sticks with you is the psychological trauma, not generally the physical trauma. Now,
and how do you know this?
Let us finish.
That is actually really well known. It's literally, it leaves psychological.
Shikabelly, he can read. Let him go.
Yes.
Let him go, Shikabelly.
It's the psychological scars, and you also have to have a worldview where things are looked at, where you see sex as being sacred. It's a gift. It means purity. Like who enters your vagina, who you stick your penis in. It is something that it should never be taken from you. Now, when you get like really rural people that have a completely different conceptual view of everything, this has nothing to do with race. These are people that are separated from society. They just have a different worldview. The Aztecs thought it was good to fucking rip out people's hearts while they were alive. To do sacrifices that were for the greater good. Okay, that's what they believed at the time. We'd say it's barbaric today, but can you blame them if that's all that they knew? Not really. And so even when it comes to rape, yes, part of the reason, if we did not have, for example, let's wipe out the Abrahamic religions. If there was zero religiosity or morality tied to, for example, sex. If sex was something as commonplace as I don't know, getting pizza. Okay, getting raped is not as traumatizing, at least psychologically, for some people that come from much different cultures, and it's a cultural thing, not a racial thing. But for whatever reason,
it's such a deeply bigoted thing to say.
It's not bigoted.
It is bigoted.
How is it bigoted?
It's okay if you don't like it, but we let it finish. We let people finish.
There's nothing bigoted about this. Go ahead.
Okay. When did child marriage start being a thing in Europe, and who they learned it from?
When did who stop colonizing in Europe?
When did child marriage start becoming a thing in Europe, and who did they learn it from?
I don't know who they learned it from, and I don't know when it stopped.
Right, because people knew that it was wrong and they found a way to disband it. If you cannot make the same argument for Europe,
sure, but we all know that Egypt. But we all know that Egypt was. Yeah, but I was making a cultural argument.
Don't consolidate. Wait, Matt, when you saying this, it's universally wrong, Matt?
I think people came up to the idea that it is wrong on their own, not because one influenced the other.
Well, no. I do agree.
I agree with you, Matt. Hold on, Matt. You agree that society is eventually, they advance and certain practices changes, right? That wasn't an advancement of a society. But when you say that it's universally wrong, and I just want to know what's your argument, that, hey, it's always the case that it's wrong. Because they was making an argument before in the past that it was right.
Exactly. This is where, Matt, you and I agree on this point, okay? We all know that Egypt, Mesopotamia, basically parts of North Africa and the Middle East were more developed than the vast majority of Europe. You had where the Greeks and the Romans were, which were more developed. Basically anything around the Mediterranean. Then, as you go further into the Iberian Peninsula, a lot of these places, okay, they were more advanced in the sciences at times, a lot of things. But that culture did spread, and it largely spread along the Mediterranean. And then eventually, there were a bunch of primitive people that chucked spears and wore loincloths, and that was the Germanic people, the Northwestern Europeans, and this is spread onto them.
Right. No. You're making an argument that African picked up that child marriage was wrong from European. Now you.
No, I didn't. No, I did not make that argument.
No, you guys.
No.
That it is Western education that brought out.
Sure. So first of all, there is a huge differentiation. Hold on. There's a huge differentiation. There's a huge.
Let me ask you a question. If you're gonna make the assumption that African got the idea that child marriage or child sex is wrong, you're gonna have to let me know where did the Europeans pick it up from. How did they come up with that idea? Because they themselves have practiced it. When did it start, and who they got it from?
Sure. Well, I mean, we were still marrying kids not even 100 years ago.
Are you going to answer the question?
Sure. So first of all, we need to make a very strong differentiation. So we have which Egyptians were you talking about? Which year?
I'm not talking about Egyptian. Remove the
okay, sure, but you know
vocabulary.
Sure.
To the question again. In Europe, hold on a second. In Europe, they used to practice child marriage, right?
Yeah.
It stopped. How did the Europeans arrive at the decision to stop? And if so, where did they get the idea of stopping it comes from?
I mean, I don't know. Not precisely when it comes to Europe, but that's not a gotcha. Now, first of all, there's a reason. No. Your point prefaced on the Egyptians taught to the Europeans. Okay, no. There's a reason you do not want me to go back to that. There's a reason why you do not want me to go back to that argument. Okay, first of all, we know there's a world of fucking difference between North Africa and Sub-Saharan Africa. We're talking about Sub-Saharan Africa, much different story. And then you have the Islamification of North Africa and the Arabization of North Africa, which ends up kind of changing and reverting a lot of things. And so, it's to somehow make it, just because it's on the continent of Africa, to act like the fucking Khoisan have anything to do with the fucking Egyptians, the biggest goddamn continent on the fucking planet. On the other end, no, this is stupid. The Egyptians are the northernmost part of the fucking continent.
He never brought up Egypt.
You got it out of your system. I'm gonna ask again. Forget the word Africa. The European used to practice shaman. They recently stopped. Why did they stop? If so, where did they pick up the idea of stopping comes from?
I don't know which country started off.
With that being said,
why would the people within the society?
Hold on. Why would you make the idea? If you do not know how the European came up with the idea of stopping it, while they were practicing it, why would you make the assumption that the African themselves did not come up with the idea of stopping it?
No, that never was his point.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, this is so stupid.
No, it was not. That shit was really strong, man.
Hold on. They made the argument that Western education is the major cause of the idea of stopping child marriage in Africa.
Yeah, Western influence was...
Right, okay, good. Where did the Westerners themselves used to practice it? Why did they stop, and where did that the idea come from?
Sure. So all I can say is that you had people like Elvis Presley, he was a rock star.
I am.
You're trying to cut me off before I can answer.
Man, it was after the first World War. Sorry, after World War II. After World War II, that's when that postmodernist movement. It was a movement that came with it. It wasn't just like, hey.
And here's what I would say to that. He said,
it was a whole wave. It was a whole movement.
And he's asking who taught who. Well, if we look at, because like I said, within the last 100 years, you had it in America where people were fucking and marrying underage children. Hold on. Shut your fucking mouth and let me finish. You're interrupting. Let me finish.
You can rebel or not. I believe I proved.
Because this is the most prescient point. Okay, who has had the most influence all over the fucking world while this transformation has taken place? Literally, the West. Why is it that this transformation took place in the West? And it's ended up basically being spread all throughout the fucking world. When we were the ones who had all of the influence. Exactly. So it was obviously something that was happening internally over the last 100 years.
But you're not listening to his point.
Shut up, Jeff. You're just a troll.
I'm not trolling you, stupid bitch. You're a fucking troll. Now, like I said, his point was you're saying Africa was so fucking retarded that they needed the West and their education and their influence to know that child marriage was bad. So what he was asking was, if in fact people who started the West and are founders of the West were also practicing child marriage, right? Where did they get it from and when did they stop? And your dumbass even brought up Elvis Presley, which is not that long ago.
Yes.
Meaning you
that was my point.
Meaning you ain't that advanced. You're still practicing child marriage. So his point was why you think Africa's so retarded.
You're actually stealing my point. This is funny.
Nigga, we heard your point. You didn't hear his point.
No, my point was that
I heard your point.
Yep. I heard his point. He asked, where did we get it from? I said it was something that ended up transforming.
Where did you get it from? That's not an answer.
would say like basically leftists. Basically leftists.
African having the bad. If African was having the
Jasmine. So he's basically arguing that in the West, in European societies, they somehow magically transformed their society from within and came to this conclusion that child marriage was bad, right? But Africans didn't do this thing. And this was exactly the point that I was trying to make initially, which is that it is so fucking stupid to credit this to the West when in every single society that has child marriage, you have a constant supply of direct sources that can tell you why child marriage is bad, because it's literally the children themselves. Like, in a society where child marriage is rampant, that means that you have millions of little girls who are getting married by adult men and who are being raped by these men and can provide you with first-hand experience of how this thing is harming them and why it is bad. Even if you yourself are not a victim, you get to watch your cousin, your neighbor, your auntie, your somebody. You literally have an abundance of first-hand experience of why child marriage is bad. And this is like you're so fucking racist that it has clogged your brain. It is wild that you think that somebody has to come from outside to tell you that child marriage is bad when your entire position relies on ignoring the people who are victimized by it. So you go to the Aztecs. The Aztecs were sacrificing people. They thought it was good to cut off people's hearts. Did you ask the people who are being sacrificed? Did you ask the parents of the person who was being sacrificed? Did you ask the brother of the person who was sacrificed? No, you didn't. You ignored all.
They were sacrificing people from other tribes.
Excuse me. You ignored all the people, right, who were actually the victims of the thing, and then you only listen to the people who are committing the murder, and then who are committing the murder, and then you say, the Aztecs thought murder was good. You go to an African country where there's rampant child marriage, right? You listen only to the people who are marrying the children. You don't listen to any of the children who are married by the adults, and then you conclude, they think that marrying children is good. You go to Somalia, which is a country that has 98% stage 3, type 3 female genital mutilation. You listen only to the people who say, they should do FGM. You never go to listen to the girl who, when she was 5 years old or 6 years old, they dragged her, held her down, held her legs open, and used a razor blade to cut out her clitoris. You don't listen to any of those people.
Who's advocating for that?
And you conclude Somali people think there's nothing wrong with FGM.
That was not the argument I was making.
Your entire position was racist and dumb and stupid. Look at what you said. You said, why is rape traumatizing? It's because if in your society you believe that, rape has something to do with purity. You feel that like the purity of your body was taken. That's not the reason why. You don't have to believe, right, that sex has anything to do with purity for you to suffer the objective harm of being raped. You don't have to. People who are
literally have
society, no, you don't. You don't. That's why you're a fucking dumbass.
No, being victimized, you have to have a frame of reference to where what was taken from you.
No, the victimization.
You have to.
The victimization is in the physical act that happens to you. You fucking subhuman animal. Why do we have to share the same planet with you? You're a fucking mongrel.
No, you're so stupid.
Yeah,
I agree. Why?
She's a savage.
You ask like it's only a quote unquote violent act, but even then you can say like an unnecessary kiss. First of all, this is all stuff that lots of religion, and it is seen as touching anybody in a sexual way is seen as taboo, especially outside of marriage.
You touch me and I don't want to be touched. It's called assault and battery. Don't touch me.
Dr.
Cool.
Do you know what is so crazy?
What are you talking about?
He's acting as if human beings do not independently have
feelings.
Weird.
Right? Literally, you throw water on me.
He's acting as if human beings don't independently have feelings, right, of what they want and what they don't want. He's acting as if, forget even the sexual aspect of the whole thing. Imagine you go and you just see somebody randomly on the road and you just touch the person or you hug the person or something. You're acting as if there can be no scenarios in which that person simply does not want to be touched by a person that they don't know.
No, we
right?
got
We
that, but hugging somebody or touching.
So what is so brain dead?
Sure.
About what you're saying is that you're acting as if without the influence of the great white man, girls in
you just touched on my point for me.
Girls in Africa could not feel in their body.
I don't know why you couldn't stay in Africa. Holy shit.
Their body. I don't care. If you come to Africa, you catch malaria and die, and we'll be better for it.
Yeah, I mean, I hope you catch AIDS and die. So like that feelings mutual.
Could not feel in their body that they don't want this sex that's being forced upon them.
Yep, we get that part. Sure. So you did touch on a point. If you give a hug, if you touch somebody and it's unwanted, sure. If a dude comes up and gives you a hug unwanted, you're not going to be traumatized for life. It's not going to fuck you psychologically.
What the
rape
hell does that
does.
have to do with your point?
Well, because when you don't have, she's making it sound like it's the unwanted touch. Okay, that is psychologically traumatizing. Where it's actually
something as simple.
It's a meaning behind what happened to you that is often that has a huge fucking plays a huge part. And of course, there's stigmatization that ends up coming with all of it.
You can't even talk, and not only
stigmatization, but it's because
I just want to say this.
You were trying to.
No one said it was the touch. I was saying, and she was saying probably. I'll tell you what I was saying. That something as simple as a touch is unwanted. So if I don't want your dick inside of me, right, I have all rights to feel violated once you're done.
So if I poke you on the shoulder,
no, bro,
you don't want it. Are you gonna get a nightmare?
I'm not done.
Or be traumatized?
Hold on. You tried to throw in the violent part, which is why when someone is violently great, they add the violent part. You can be great and it's not violent. It's still a violation. It is wrong.
Obviously.
Okay, you're the one that said, "Oh, they always try to add this violent aspect." No, motherfucker, shut your dumb ass up. It's still a fucking violation of my autonomous right to my fucking body to say yes and no to what the fuck I want to do.
Obviously.
Which is why slavery is banned in a lot of places, right?
Yep.
Because you didn't have that autonomy to your own fucking body.
Yep, we get it.
And if you're not a slave, you have the right to say no. I don't want no sex.
True.
No. Have you ever been great?
No.
What was your proposition?
But doctor.
Yeah, so my whole
what was your proposition?
Yeah, so my whole point was even those natives saw it as a violation when you rape a woman. How it could be remedied? Now you have to understand this is their cultural view. With that man will womp. He has to ask to marry her afterwards. If not, there's going to be some problems. No, these were not Christians.
I'm just saying the same practice is in the Bible. We get it. This was culturally accepted around the world. We understand. What Sugar Belly is saying is the victims of these crimes are the reason why we even call them crimes in the first place. It's like, I don't understand, Pepe, where you're going with this. You clearly lost the argument. You should just give up now.
No, I didn't. You're too low IQ to really
understand. If I'm low IQ because I don't understand you, I'll take that.
Pepe, what's your IQ? What's your IQ, Pepe?
If we're low,
he doesn't even know. Like, I skipped the whole
No, when it comes to you, shut up.
What's your IQ?
So, no, it doesn't matter.
Why are you telling people they have low IQ when you clearly have an IQ of like 64, bro?
No, what is your IQ, bro?
I've never taken an IQ test.
Amazing. Saying somebody's low IQ is literally, that's a way of saying you're not smart enough. That's what
that's not true. You don't even know what an intelligence quotient is.
Yeah, an intelligence quotient is literally the score you get on an intelligence quotient test.
It measures your pattern recognition.
It's not the only thing an IQ test does.
Patterns. It has nothing to do with how successful you'll be, because that has to do with...
It's only part of an IQ test.
Pepe, so why are you on a fucking headset on Clubhouse like a T-Move Ryan Seacrest? right?
So
that's
only part of an IQ test.
About you. If your IQ is so fucking high, why the fuck is you so unsuccessful?
Amazing.
You stupid bitch. Why?
Yeah. So, anyways.
Right. You go from act to act talking shit, and you want to tell me you have a high IQ?
Mm-hmm.
Where's the proof?
Sure. So,
where's the proof?
When it comes to pattern recognition, that is a big part of IQ test. That is only one of the fucking things that they measure.
Look, with the fucking
short-term memory. They not even well. Yeah, when it comes to spatial reasoning, when it comes to verbal reasoning, when it comes to all kinds of things, it's meant to measure all kinds of things.
You hard-faced ass nigga, you just ain't here saying anything.
Amazing. I'm a real ass nigga.
What is wrong with rape? What is Africans couldn't stop child marriage?
Nigga, y'all just stopped with Elvis Presley, and you ain't stopped there. You fucking buck-tooth crackers in the fucking mountains are still marrying people.
Yeah, I see. Here's the thing: is she's trying to make it sound like. But what's really annoying is we know where feminism came from. We know where most of the leftist, or actually, let me take this back. Almost all of the underpinnings of any political ideology that you get globally, they come from the fucking West. Just like fucking feminism. And here, this fucking third worlder is gonna sit here and tell us like, oh no, I'm a black woman.
Have you seen the Lagos airport? That shit's better than the airports we have in America. You're just dumb. You don't know what you're talking about, bro.
The bus systems in Mexico to travel between cities are better than our Greyhound.
How can he actually sit here and say that is baffling to me?
Yeah, but he's a dumbass wannabe white man. He's a fucking Mexican.
It gets worse. This is the worst thing I've heard him say.
Pepe is what happens when you get your world history from Reddit.
Wait, hang on, excuse me. I don't know if you guys have ever seen like this clip. It was some guy that went to interview like Maasai warriors in Kenya, right? And so he was interviewing them about like just like what do they do with their day and stuff, and they were talking about like the usual things that they do. One of the things that the guy said was that, a fun activity that they like to do sometimes is that like all of the guys would get together and then they'll go from like house to house in the village, and then they'll try to see if there's like a house where like it's not too fortified, and they'll break the door down and they'll rush into the houses and they'll this was his word. He said I will have sex with any woman that we find in there, right? And then he described it as, it's just like a casual fun activity. What he's describing is breaking and entering and rape. Now, at some point, the person who was doing the interviewing was like, what? He's like, oh, no, we don't do that anymore. And then he asked some of the women, and he was like, what do you think about this thing this guy said? Several of them just shrugged. One of them said, I feel bad, but what can I do? And this is exactly what I mean when I say that PP's whole position is deeply steeped in racism and hatred against women. Because when you have a society where something like this is happening, and you only take the point of view of the people who are the perpetrators, you don't bother to think about what would the people who are the victims of that situation have to say about it, right? And then you conclude that, in this society, nobody minds rape. Rape is okay. It's perfectly fine to rape people here. They accept rape as a social activity. But your conclusion, you never took into consideration that the people who are actually getting raped don't like getting raped, but they just don't have the power to change the situation. You're so dishonest. Then you now want to conclude that because white people had the power, right? So because white people went around the world colonizing people and they used their brute force and their power to end these practices, then it means that nobody in those societies was thinking about ending these practices until the white people came. And it's funny because you keep on saying that, people are low IQ. They used a boring machine they used to explore for crude oil to find your IQ under the earth, and they still haven't found it. You are fucking dumb. You're so fucking dumb. It's incredible.
Amazing. So, but the problem is this. So I never said that.
Oh, that's a sweet sound, ain't it?
Where they didn't care about being raped. My point was that the stigmatization that comes with being both the raper or the rapist and the person that gets
we can hear you. And
that does that does vary across cultures. Now I'm not condoning.
Eddie, your fancy mic sucks. We can't hear you.
Well, I can hear them. It's just you guys don't want to mute up.
And so, like, I personally, I don't think rape is acceptable at all. I don't agree with these villagers, that were in Mexico a few decades ago. I don't agree with the guys you were talking about in Kenya. That's not my position whatsoever. But the unfortunate reality is that when you have a group of people, until they end up getting, I guess they're faced with what is considered a normative view outside of their group, and it seems better, it seems more fair, and they end up introducing ideas where it's just like, no, actually, like rapists really hold back to the fact that they trivialize it. They think it's just like a game. No, that should not accept that. I think that's the right point of view, but with people that are in their own little bubble in parts of the fucking world where that is not the normative view, yeah, they're not gonna. Why would they care? You have to be heavily influenced by, and generally that is gonna come from outsiders.
Are you retarded? Why would they care?
Hold on. You should let us know the outsider that's
so they don't care by experiencing it directly.
Let them tell us the outsider that influenced Europe. If she's going to make that same argument for Africa, I want to hear the argument for Europe, which is the outside group that influenced Europe.
Sure, I would say
you don't know.
Sure, I say a lot of the influences came from within Europe. Within Europe, we have communism.
It was a more.
Oh my God, this is dumb. Listen to him. You need to stop talking, bro.
It was
It
his
literally
mom.
was the Moors,
You need to stop.
which was a bunch of black niggas.
Yeah, it was his mom.
A bunch of black people
Yeah,
told
it was-
your ass that this is wrong.
Okay, so you tell me Edmund Burke, we can talk about all of the historically who we tie back to classical liberalism.
Y'all still marry children today.
Conservatism falls in the liberal framework.
You still marry children today.
And communism, that didn't all come from Europe. That postmodernism, that any of this fucking shit didn't come from fucking Europe. Literally, the ideologies that people, both within the West and other parts of the world, where they're fighting each other over the different ideologies, did not stem from Europe. Prove me where I'm wrong.
But now you're making a new point that you didn't make before. Like, this is so fucking irrelevant.
Ideas. I mean, no.
Pepe, we're listening to you. Listen, Matt asked you who influenced the Europeans to stop child marriage.
Other Europeans.
Where did they get the practice
the
from?
other Europeans?
No, hold on. Where did they get the practice from?
For child marriage in particular, I don't know.
Did they get it from Africa or from the third world countries that you're talking about? So, who influenced Europe?
When the Western world was fully in charge of the West, okay, it's only we
is there an Eastern world in charge of the West now?
No outsiders ruled over the West, okay?
Do outsiders rule over the West now?
When Elvis Presley was fucking a 13-year-old, there were no countries outside the West that were having influence on the West. Yet we changed within.
What is so crazy is that, like, he's
I want to know, did we change or did you see the Epstein files? Did you see the Epstein files? Did we change?
Africa. I mean,
did we change, bro? Did you not see the Epstein files? We're still trafficking and fucking on little kids. Nothing changed. Pepe.
And then that was a high IQ Jew.
Wait, sorry, do you know
nothing changed?
What is so frustrating about this whole thing, right? His entire position relies on the idea that people who are not European are not able to look at evidence and draw conclusions from that evidence. For the entire history of the world, everywhere they have done child marriage, right? the women and the girls in those societies have resisted it. They've resisted it. You have societies where they have to drag off the girl to get married. You have societies where the girl is running away from home. You have societies where the mother is roadblocking, the sister is roadblocking. People are getting beaten. People are getting beaten to conform, right? You have societies where they have to lock the girl in the house. The reason why you have all these practices is because of resistance. If every little girl who was going to get married said, oh yeah, sign me up, oh wow, I can't wait to get married, you wouldn't have whole cultures. Oh my God, please shut the fuck up, please. Shut the fuck up. Shut up. Because you're the same person the other day I came into this room and they were dragging you because you said that, oh, you like 17-year-olds. Okay, so shut the fuck up. You said so. You said so.
He said that?
You said so.
You did what happened when you were trolled, though. You don't remember anything you said. He's a troll.
I was trolling. I said, what's wrong with Epstein trafficking 16 and 17-year-old sluts?
Yeah, but you gotta stop trolling because
You also said 15. You also said 15 years old. You also said 15 years old, and you called 15-year-olds Lord.
Low IQ motherfucker. Low IQ shit. Right?
They keep lowering the bar
like that. You're a weirdo.
The white supremacist institution. That's all they're doing.
So funny. It's not even right.
So they can protect these institutions that are fall because of these
You had the most power.
It's so funny that Kim came here, right? Kim came here to lie that I called him a child rape apologist. When the child rape apologist
literally the West. The West. The last 500 years.
Yeah, Pepe, okay, we heard you the first 7 times. It was the West. All right. Anybody else care? It was the West. The West saved us.
Ended up influencing us.
Anyone else care?
But over the last 500 years.
I see. I don't. The point is, I don't.
Let me ask Jazzy a question.
The point is, I don't even understand his argument because if the West is so good, so how come they were the ones that pushed slavery so badly? Like, how come
No, you weren't.
Yes, we literally were.
All right, Othello, what's the question?
Okay, so he's equating child marriage to lower IQ. I guess tribes and civilizations.
What he did was he compared the Aztec people ripping people's hearts out to African people having child marriage, and he was saying when you don't know any better, you can't do any better. You know?
But listen.
How? No. As I said, 80 years ago.
Yo, can you hold on, nigga? Let him talk, Pepe.
While the West was in power, and we were the dominant, most inclusive.
Othello, go ahead.
No, because he's losing, and nobody can hear you, Pepe.
Shut your mouth, Jessica. You fucking low IQ brainlet.
That's what I'm saying. If this is based on IQ,
my point was,
that shit don't even hurt.
My point was, I didn't say it was low IQ, because I explicitly point that 80 years ago in the West.
You said they're so low IQ they can't even run themselves, and the West has to come in and run them and govern them and stop them from doing child marriage. You did say they were so low IQ. You said they need the West to come in and colonize so they can stop child marriage. That is what you said.
And that's my only
Did anyone else hear him say that?
Can I ask a question to the women? Oh, well, even you, just Jasmine. When you guys say child marriage, are you basing this before puberty, or even if they have reached puberty and they're still of a young age?
Well, it don't matter because, like Sugar Belly said, there's no distinction between prepubescent girls and ones that have already hit puberty.
I am actually looking at a religious question. It has nothing to do because, once again, my thoughts about it always go to God's law. God's law is supreme law to me. So this is why I'm asking this clear distinction, because if you're talking about, the low IQ, like Pep just pointed out, animal that just spoke, say, oh, he must be Muslim. I don't care about those things. I'm going off of I didn't even insult you, Pep. You're an idiot. That's why you don't listen. You just want to run your mouth.
Resistance.
No, I didn't. I said the other guy, you fucking idiot. Once again, stop sticking so much dick in your mouth. My question is,
5-year-old has
5-year-olds don't have.
They do. Hold on. The
No, they
youngest girl
don't.
to ever give birth was 5.
You're talking about one
No, I'm
anomaly.
asking you a question.
And I just answered it. That is not the norm.
Or a 9-year-old. If a 9-year-old has
He's
her
scared.
cycle,
Look how scared he
is
is.
that
No, I speak what the facts are. I don't say idiotic
I'm
things that
asking,
don't make
if a
sense.
9-year-old has her cycle, is that an
Yes.
acceptable age?
If a 9-year-old has reached puberty, then she is considered a woman in God's eyes. That is not a child. Even Jesus, yes, even Jesus.
No,
Praise God.
Lord Jesus, like
Yes, even and I'm saying it again. Even Jesus, the people claim is God, which is in their books, a person, a female who reaches puberty, son of God, God, to some people, whatever y'all want to call him. I don't look at that figure. I know who Esau is. That is considered a woman.
Wait, he said that?
According to God's law. So this is why I wanted to ask you women.
Where did
Jesus say that?
It's in the Torah, it's in the Bible, and it's in the Quran. That when a woman reaches puberty, they are considered a woman. So this is why, once again, I asked the question. When you say child, that's why I want to have clarity. What is the concept that you guys are considering? See, now, hold on. Yes. Okay. So that goes to, once again, Pep's point. You keep saying about westernized concept. That is a European westernized concept, that age thing.
Bro, if you're saying
that is from the white man.
Sorry,
that is not from God.
I'm sorry, excuse me. So when you say that
Islam is not from God either.
Of course it is.
Wait, excuse me. When you say
no, it's a factual angle. It's weird. It's weird how you guys are trying to admonish him about this, European Western. But you guys are coming from a concept of white European Westernization.
You're coming from a concept of Aryan Arabization.
No, I'm coming from a concept of God and God's law. God's law trumps your westernized ideologies.
I want you to Google when Muslims convert to Islam. Just Google that.
First of all,
when did Muslims convert to Islam?
Jasmine, that was so unintelligent. What do you mean converted? Muslims create. Prophet Muhammad is the first Muslim. It comes from God. There is no converting to it. He came with Islam.
Google this. When did Muslims convert to Islam? And tell me what it says.
My God, that shit is ridiculous. There's no Muslim converting to Islam. You mean when did Prophet Muhammad come with Islam and people started converting to Islam? That's what you mean. And that happened in the 6th century.
You're literally implying when you say Muslims, that means they were.
Listen.
Exactly. She's so dumb.
Pepe, read what I wrote in the chat when I copy and pasted. Muslims began converting to Islam in 6th.
You mean people started converting to Islam?
Yeah, because Muslims existed before Islam is not the shit you should be following. What the fuck are we talking about?
Once again,
that shit is a
you have to come with the proper terminology. When you convert to Islam, you are a Muslim, not a Muslim converting to Islam.
And you all used to be called Mohammedan.
Islam.
You used to be called Mohammedan.
Jasmine, a Muslim could not convert to Islam because a Muslim is Islam. You have to learn the terminology.
Jazzy cooking.
Alright, y'all calm down.
She's not cooking anything, and that shit don't work. It's so.
Okay, I don't want to move anyone down, but I need to moderate. Like, yelling at each other don't make any sense. Like, y'all, no one that. What happened?
I was just correcting her because Muslims are in Islam, can't convert to Islam if you're a Muslim. Non-Muslims can.
when you.
No.
What were they?
What we need to do is set up a queue. Can y'all please stop talking when I'm trying to moderate? Because y'all wasn't doing none of that shit when everyone was yelling just now. I'm the only person who made way flow where everyone could talk. And now y'all want to take that away from me? Like, come on, man. Like, when y'all was just arguing and yelling, y'all having fun. Now I'm trying to make it constructive. All right, let's settle with you, man. Me first. Talk first. No, not you first. No, not you first.
I want to say something.
Who's talking first? Let's get to the bottom of this. Who was talking first before that? Was it Jazzy?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I'm not asking Jazzy.
Well, they told you
I want to say something.
Okay, so let Jazzy talk. My fault. Go ahead, Jazzy.
Okay, so who's our
Thank you.
These people are liars and idiots.
So why you ain't say nothing when the man asked who was talking?
Because he knew who was talking first. They heard who was talking. It's just a hypocrisy. I'd be letting it go because it's hilarious.
Nathan, who is after Jazzy?
This thing
No, I tell the truth, you coward.
Let me just say this real quick. I just want to say this. I find it very telling. You all don't follow the original Moorish Islam or whatever the fuck. Islam is new, okay? 610 CE, right? So long story short, it says here, Muslims began converting to Islam. We already have a distinction between Muslim and Islam by saying that they converted, right? So we're not going to dig too deep into this. I don't want to get my head cut off by any Muslims tonight, right? I just wanted to tell you that Islam is also a fucked up shit, like you were saying Christianity is, right? Man-made or whatever the fuck your God is. You niggas followed Muhammad. I'm almost done. You niggas followed Muhammad, which is why you were called Mohammedans. Then once the Moors went away, what happened was he kind of stole identity, right? So now you're being called Muslims, even though you're not the original Moorish Muslims. You are Islamic Muslims who follow Hadith and not Quran. Thank you.
Oh my. Okay, now let me educate the uneducated. Let me educate the uneducated now, because once again, this proves that once again she's reading too much white Western literature instead of reading something that actually is it, because that's what it's coming from, stupidity. Number one, Muslims can't convert to Islam because Muslims are practicing Islam. The only people who convert into Islam are non-Muslims. And when Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, came with Islam in the 6th century, there was no such thing as Islam or Muslims. The people who converted or reverted were either Christians or Jews or pagans. And the Moors were not Muslims until the Prophet Muhammad came with the faith of Islam, and it reached west and northern parts of Africa. First place to be exact was Abyssinia. Black Christians adopted Islam first. You don't know what you're talking about. That's number one. And number two, like I was saying, God, to me, trumps your westernized ideology and your feminist ideology. So once again, yes, I believe when a girl reaches puberty through her body, and her mental sound in her brain that knows her capacity in terms of being in a marriage and knowing what her duties entail with her husband, she is permissible to marry. And she also has sex. So this is why I asked the question of what they consider a child. And once again, it came through a westernized lens.
Please, I'll pay you if you let me respond.
May the Lord save you because you're a fornicator.
Hold on.
Oh my God.
You're married 9-year-old.
No, I would not, because this time in this culture in this society that is not accepted. And hold on to answer this question if I'm allowed to. And in Islam, it teaches us, number one, an age gap of a young one is not something that is a focus on. What Allah Ta'ala has told us, though, these are the criterias of a woman, and this is what must be met. You don't know what you're talking about. It's in our traditions. So what? No, I wasn't finished. The guy asked me a question, and no, because he asked me a question, and I'm trying to answer. But people like you, with your ignorance, is trying to cut me off.
May the Lord save you, resist.
So once again, this is coming from women who are fornicators. They've never been married, but have children and have to out of wedlock and have the nerve to come to us with these fake ass, traditions and these things. You are fornicators.
So may the Lord get into where
may the Lord save you, fornicator.
Let's get into what the word resistance. Let's get into
I guarantee you, I just had a child out of wedlock. Guarantee.
Don't let him get your ass.
Oh, don't let me tell the truth. The truth is okay.
Listen. Real quick.
Of course you do. That's the American way. So
the word, hello. The word Muslim.
Jackie, what was I asking you?
Yeah, he skipped you. I just want to say this. I'll be real quick. The word Muslim, pre-Islamic, just meant to submit to the will of God. You're reciting.
There was no such thing as Muslim before the Prophet Muhammad.
I'm almost done.
Go educate yourself.
I'm almost done.
Stop being dumb.
Let me finish.
Bro,
you're reciting. Hold on. You're reciting.
Yo, this shit lasts stop cutting her off.
Oh my God.
Sugar belly.
Suck a dick, you fucking faggot.
Sorry, excuse me.
I'm almost done. You're reciting and repeating things from secondary books, right? None of what you're saying is in the Quran. I promise you, I've read it. It even talks about the Immaculate Conception of Jesus Christ in Surah 19, right? You all should read it. It talks about Mary.
It's called Surah Ma'idah. It's named after, actually,
Mary.
Surah
19, if y'all want to Google it and read it, okay? So long story short, it's mighty funny that you have guys that disrespect the Prophet Jesus, but they claim to be Muslims when the Quran speaks very highly of this guy, right? And I'm saying this guy on purpose because that's what they say. So I just wanted to tell you, you guys are weirdos and you're following writings from a man, right? You're Mohammedans. You're not the original Moors. And that's all I want to say. I don't care about nothing you said about me being a fornicator. I sure am. Yes. Thanks.
Okay, so excuse me, right? There was something that Stan's guy said. Why did he go to the audience?
Because he couldn't control himself.
Okay, there was something that he said, right? When he said that when you're talking about age, that you're talking from a westernized point of view, like that the idea that, somebody who is under 18 is not an adult, or somebody who's above 18 is an adult. And this is exactly what I was talking about when I say that many people have some strange ideas where they talk or they think about things or concepts, that are local to the West as if they're universal. Also do the opposite. So basically, they act as though because the concept is the one that is from the West, that other people did not have such concepts, right? So in the West, yes, they have this idea that an 18-year-old is that's the threshold of adulthood. But all over the world, all the different cultures and societies had their own ideas of what age constituted an adult. It's not an exclusively Western concept. So for example, I'm an Igbo woman. In Igbo, they thought that adulthood started at 20 and that you weren't a full adult until you were 30, right? Now, that's a completely different conversation from whether or not they thought that marriage or sex was something that children or adults could do. So what you have side by side historically in many societies is that you have people thinking that, okay, people of a certain age or people at a certain level are now adults. But on the other hand, you also have them thinking that, marriage and sex are things that children can participate in, right? And my culture is an example, right? Before we got colonized and stuff, children, we had child marriage. Children were getting married, but they thought that 20-year-olds were adults. That's when you're an adult. You're not an adult until you're 20. So, for him to be like, oh, you're going by this Western idea, you're going by this Western concept, it's so ignorant. And the only reason why he makes this argument is because his own ideological loyalty is to any framework that allows the pedophilia that is basically guaranteed in Islam, right, to happen, right? So for not just him, Muslim men, many Muslim men or devout Muslim men or whatever, they will constantly make this kind of argument. And the reason why they make this argument is because in Islam, right, men can marry children. So they don't like this idea that, people, who are beyond the age of puberty are still children. They really don't like that idea because they don't want to be called pedophiles. They want to do the pedophilia, but they don't want to be criticized for doing the pedophilia. They don't want to be pointed at for doing the pedophilia.
Yo, you need to be a moderator. You're so smart.
They will never make me a moderator because they're so dumb.
She's actually a fornicator.
Last warning.
She's actually a fornicator.
Last warning, Botello. If you do that again, I'm gonna move you from the room.
I'm gonna make you a
I'm kidding.
I know, I was like, that's a lie.
I'm joking. I'm trying to ease the conversation. I just came back. And every time I come back, it's always about fucking weird pedophilia that resistance is down for. I'm sick of this.
I'm not gonna lie.
This is coming from a homosexual that fornicates with young boys. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
You are the only person that uses insults with...
No, I speak the fact. It's just like Sugar Belly. It's coming from a Western concept, and she's a fornicator. So it doesn't make sense to me. Why would someone that has no sense of godly laws have a concept for it? Doesn't make any sense to me.
And 12 hours...
That lady literally fornicates, and she's talking about people who get married. You have to make sense to me.
My wife and daughter, you're weird.
And you're a real piece of shit. Yes, and you're a real piece of shit. Yes, we know.